Hey guys. This is part 2 of What If Naruto Was the Heir of the Whirlpool. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 6. The city of Adindral celebrated through the night of the Uzumaki's return to Whirlpool. Naruto was treated to his first royal feast where he was introduced to several important political leaders. While he didn't understand much of what was said, he still enjoyed himself since he could eat as much as he wanted. On Naruto's second day in his new home, he was escorted to the royal council room. As he entered the room, he was led to the empty seat to his grandfather's left, seating across from his uncle who was seated on his grandfather's right side. "Hey Grandpa," Uncle Kenshin said Naruto with a smile on his face. His uncle gave him an acknowledging nod, while his grandfather answered him with a smile. "Good morning, Naruto-kun. So, why do you need to see me? And who are all these people?" he asked, pointing at the several people sitting around the table. "They are some of my most trusted captains of the Guardian Corps. Everyone in this room, your uncle and me included, will all become your teachers in the different areas of study you will be learning over the next few years." "All of them? Why that many different teachers?" asked Naruto. Naruto's question caused some chuckles from the people in the room. "Because Naruto, you are the future ruler and leader of Whirlpool. It will be your responsibility to guide and protect the people of our nation. You must always remember, Naruto, it isn't the people that serve us but we as their leaders that serve them. And to be able to be a good leader you will need to learn many different things. We will help you to learn by teaching you some of our expertises," said Genryusai, motioning to the people in the room. Naruto sat a little straighter after hearing that. He then looked briefly at the people around the table before he looked back to his grandfather. "I promise to do my best, Grandpa." Genryusai smiled at him. "That's all we will ever ask of you, Naruto. Now, I will be teaching you the art of sealing, as well as politics and economics. Your Uncle Kenshin will be teaching you Kenjutsu, and more importantly the Hitenmitsurugi style of our clan. When you are ready, he will also be teaching you how to use our bloodline." "What's a bloodline? And how do you use it?" asked an excited Naruto. "I will teach you everything when the time comes," Naruto responded Kenshin in what Naruto quickly named his grumpy voice, since he always looked mad when he talked like that. "Now I believe we should let your new teachers introduce themselves and tell you what is it that they will be teaching you. Why don't we start with you, Sano?" Genryusai said, pointing to the man sitting next to Kenshin. The man named Sano was a tall and lean, but muscular, man. He had long spiky black hair and wore a red headband around his forehead that reached past his shoulders. Sano wore white pants and had white bandages wrapped around his stomach and right hand. He also wore no shirt, but he did have a long white coat similar to his uncle's and grandfather's. Sano's coat had a black trim and the kanji for taijutsu on the back. Sano grinned before answering. "The name is Sanosuke Sagara, don't forget it, kid. I'm your uncle's best friend even if the sourpuss refuses to admit it in public." This got Sano a death glare from said sourpuss, which only made Sano grin even more. "Like your grandfather and your uncle, I'm a member of the Roku Kyoshu. I hold the coat for taijutsu. I will be teaching you taijutsu, which includes your own family style that I was honored to be allowed to learn. I will also be in charge of your physical strength and stamina training, so I hope you're ready for me to work your tiny body to the ground," he said with his grin never leaving his face. Naruto glared at him when he called him tiny and only looked more determined to work his hardest. The next person to introduce herself was the only female in the room. She was a fairly tall and beautiful young woman with a remarkably curvaceous figure and a well-endowed chest. She looked to be in her early 20s and had waist-length raven black-colored hair tied in a high ponytail. She had peach skin and light purple-colored eyes. She was wearing long purple stockings and a very small pink kimono that did little to cover her gorgeous figure. She wore chain mail under her kimono and had a Tsubales no Dachi strapped to her back with bandages wrapped around the hilt for better grip. "My name is Shigeru Kasaka. I am the captain of the Spy and Intelligence Network. I will be in charge of stealth and weapons training," she said in a monotone voice. When it was obvious that Shigeru was not going to continue, the young man sitting in front of her turned to speak to Naruto. He was the youngest man in the room. He looked to be in his late teens. He had chin-length black hair and wore squared glasses. He wore an all-white attire, white pants, long-sleeved shirt, and mantle. The only color in his clothes was the blue cross on his shirt's collar and stripes on his sleeves. "My name is Yuri Ishida. I'm the head of the Ishida clan and captain of the Archer Division of the Guardian Corps. I'm also in charge of the defenses of the city's outer wall. I will be instructing you in tactics and strategy." The next person to introduce himself was a young man in his early 20s. He had bright green eyes and vibrant red hair, with 2 long forelocks on either shoulder and the rest on his back. Naruto thought the man might be related to him since he looked like an Uzumaki. He was wearing a dark blue martial arts outfit with a red trim and a red sash tied around his waist. My name is Kurama Minamino. I am the captain of the Hunter and Tracking Division of the Guardian Corps. If anyone commits a crime against Whirlpool and somehow escapes, it's my team's job to hunt them down and return them here so they can be punished. I will be one of 2 teachers that will instruct you in ninjutsu and chakra control. The other will be this man sitting next to me, said Kurama, pointing to the shorter man sitting next to him. The man in question was around the same age as Kurama. He was easily the shortest of them all and looked to be less than 5 foot tall if you disregarded his long gravity-defying spiky black hair. He wore a white headband on his forehead and had blood-red eyes that had an angular, slightly slanted shape that gave him a sinister look to him. He was wearing a long black cloak-like jacket with a white collar. He had black pants tucked into black combat boots, and what looked like a black undershirt. He had a sword strapped to his back, and by the look on his face he really didn't want to be here, as he seemed to be glaring at everyone in the room. When the man didn't seem to be in any hurry to speak, Kurama gave him a subtle push with his elbow, and the man finally gave in and spoke. My name is Hai. I'm the head of the Guardian Corps' assassination squad. If there is a threat to Whirlpool that can't be dealt with through peaceful means, my team and I terminate that threat. I will be helping Kurama teach you ninjutsu. Naruto was a little scared of the small man. He looked like he didn't want to help Naruto at all. Don't worry about our vertically challenged friend, my prince. He's just not a people person. Everyone in the room turned to look at the man at the end of the table, who was now the recipient of a death glare from Hai. This only made the man chuckle, which pissed Hai even more. The man was tall, light-skinned, and has gray eyes which at the moment sparkled with amusement. Looked to be in his 30s and had messy light blonde hair with strands framing the sides of his face and in between his eyes. He was wearing traditional wooden sandals and a striped white and green bucket hat that shadowed his eyes. He also wore a dark green shirt and pants, topped with a black coat with a black diamond pattern along its bottom half. He had a walking cane in one hand and what looked like a closed fan in the other. My name is Kasuke Urahara, but you can just call me Urahara like everyone else, my prince. I am the head of the Research and Development Division of the Guardian Corps. I will be teaching you history, science, literature, and philosophy, as well as anything else that strikes me at the time, Urahara said as he fanned himself. Naruto wasn't sure what to think about his new teachers, but he knew that he was going to work as hard as he could to make his family proud. Excellent, we will begin your training tomorrow morning, Naruto. For now you can take the rest of the day off. Naruto smiled at his grandfather and nodded before leaving the room. Genryosai and the others continued to discuss Naruto's training. Back in the Leaf Village, the news of Naruto's true heritage and his leaving was received with mixed feelings. The civilian population was in complete denial and refused to accept that the demon was the son of the 4th Hokage. The ninja population, at least the ones from established clans, accepted the news as the truth, and they were furious that it had been kept a secret from them. While most ninja had not been openly hostile to the boy, they didn't do anything to help him either. They now realized that they had been letting the civilians get away with tormenting the son of the 4th Hokage, and it sickened them. Once the elders had told the main house members of the deal with the Uzumaki, the Hyuga household became an awful place. The main branch members were outraged that Hayashi would willingly surrender the Byakugan to another clan. Unfortunately for them, no matter how much they complained, there was nothing anyone could do to stop the arrangement without starting a blood feud with the Uzumaki. The fact that Hinata was now the most important member of the Hyuga clan, as far as the village was concerned, was something that also agitated the main house members, as now they couldn't openly ridicule her or insult her for being a failure. Hana and Hayashi couldn't be any happier. Both of their children were safe from the clan elders now that the village knew Naruto's heritage. While the village couldn't agree on the truth of that information, what they all did agree on was the important role that the Hyuga played in stopping the war with Whirlpool. All the adults also knew how important Hinata was to the village, and they now treated her with great respect whenever she went out in public. Hinata herself had not been told of her future marriage since her parents wanted to wait until she attended the academy to tell her. Hinata was currently sitting in the Hyuga clan's private dojo waiting for her father to arrive to start her lesson. She was a little surprised when she saw both her parents walk in. "Hello, mother," father said Hinata. "Good morning, honey," said Hana. "Good morning, Hinata," said Hayashi. "Are you ready to begin your lesson, honey?" Hinata smiled at her mother. "Yes, mother." "Hinata, you will be starting the academy in 2 years. Because of recent developments, your mother will be taking over your training when I am unable to do so. You are of great importance to the clan and to the village. I'm sure you have noticed that people are nicer to you or treat you differently than before. I know you wish to know why that is, but you will have to wait until your 7th birthday for us to tell you. I want you to remember that no matter what anyone might tell you, you are first and foremost our daughter and nothing will ever change that, said Hayashi. Your father is right, Hinata. Some people may treat you differently, but we will always treat you as our daughter first, and as a Hyuga second. We will always love and be proud of you no matter what. So while we will ask you to train and study hard, we don't want you to feel that you always have to be the best to make us proud of you. Do you understand, honey? Yes, mother, thank you for believing in me. Your mother, and I will always believe in you, Hinata. Now let's begin our training session. Yes, father. In Whirlpool, Naruto excited to begin his training. He needed to learn so much, but he was determined to do his best to make his family proud. Naruto had been led to one of the palace's many private training rooms but was surprised to see his grandfather there instead of Sano, who he was told was to begin his physical training before he began to learn from the other teachers. Grandpa? What are you doing here? I thought I was going to train with Sano-sensei? Asked a confused Naruto. Genryusai smiled at his grandson. You will be. But before you do, it's time that you receive something that every Uzumaki receives once they begin their training to become warriors of Whirlpool. It is one of the Uzumaki clan's most guarded secrets, a secret that has been passed down generation to generation since the founding of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto sat a bit straighter once he heard that. He knew that whatever his grandfather was about to give him was very important, and he wasn't about to disappoint him. Genryusai continued, I promise to let your uncle teach you about our Kenjutsu style, but what you need to know is that there is a reason why the Uzumaki are the only ones that can truly master the Hiten Mitsurugi style. In the past, many have tried to steal the secrets of our fighting style, but even those who have managed to discover some of our secrets have never harnessed the true strength of the Hiten Mitsurugi style. Why is that, Grandpa? Asked Naruto. Because Naruto, the Hiten Mitsurugi style was created by the founder of our clan to be used only by our clan, and he made sure that nobody but an Uzumaki could truly master it. I will let your uncle tell you the reason, since I promised him he would be the one to teach you of our bloodline and Kenjutsu style. What I will show you today is one of the reasons why we are the only ones that can master the Hiten Mitsurugi. Okay, Grandpa, what do I need to do first? Asked an eager Naruto. Oh, that's easy, Naruto. You just need to take off your clothes, said Genryusai. What? Why? Yelled Naruto as he clutched his training kimono as if it was going to disappear all of a sudden. Genryusai chuckled, already expecting this reaction from the young blonde. This is the reason why, he said, rolling back one of his sleeves and focusing chakra into his arm. Naruto watched as several markings began to appear on his grandfather's arm and began to glow brightly. Naruto didn't know what they meant, but he knew they had to be seals since he was told his family was famous for being seal masters. Wow, what are those, Grandpa? They're so cool looking. Am I going to get that? Will I look that cool too? Naruto started to rapidly shoot questions off. Genryusai stopped the flow of chakra to his arm, letting the seals fade away. Those, Naruto, are the Uzumaki clan's gravity seals. Gravity seals? What do they do? Asked Naruto. They act much like weights in the way that they add resistance to help strengthen your body. Except that unlike weights which only add resistance to certain parts of your body, the gravity seals distribute the added resistance evenly throughout your entire body. The seals never need to be replaced, and you can control the resistance they add to your body at will without needing to waste time to remove any equipment from yourself. That's so cool. So does everybody have them? No, Naruto. The only person outside of me and your uncle that has these is Sano. And that is because your uncle considers him a brother in all but blood, even if he rarely shows it. Yeah, Sano-sensei really likes to make Uncle Kenshin mad, said Naruto. Yes, he sure does. Alright, Naruto, let's begin. It's going to take a while to finish, and we don't want to waste more time than we have to. Okay, Grandpa, said Naruto as he began to take off his kimono. Several hours later, Naruto and his grandfather exited the room. Naruto was obviously struggling as he walked. It will take a few days before your body adapts to the seals. It looks like your large chakra reserves are adding more chakra to the seals than I expected. We will have to cancel your physical training for the next few days. You will instead begin your academic training, and once the seals are no longer bothering you, we will resume the full training regimen. I guess you're right, Grandpa. I am very tired, answered Naruto. I will tell Yuria to expect you in an hour, and Urahara to expect you after lunch. I will begin to teach you calligraphy and sealing basics after dinner. Okay, Grandpa, I'll see you later, said Naruto as he stumbled away, still finding it difficult to walk with the new seals in place. His two samurai guards walked next to him to make sure the young prince didn't hurt himself by falling down. Naruto walked into Yuria's office to see him waiting for him at his desk. Ah, you're here, Naruto. How are you feeling? I was told that the application of gravity seals can be very taxing on your body. I'm fine, Yuria-sensei. I'm still getting used to the seals, but I'm doing better now, answered Naruto. Great, come here so we can begin, Yuria said, leading Naruto to a small table with 2 chairs facing each other. Once they took their seats, Naruto asked, so what kind of training are we going to do today, sensei? We are going to play a game, answered Yuria. Naruto was confused. I thought you were going to train me in strategy? I am. And we will begin by playing a game. We will study more advanced forms later. For now we will start with games that will help you develop your mind. What kind of games will we play? Asked Naruto. We will be playing shogi, go, and chess among others to help you work on your strategy. Later on we will read and study books and scrolls. For now we play. Yuryu and Naruto spend the next few hours with Naruto learning the rules of shogi and playing a few games together. Naruto found it difficult at first, and even though he lost every game, he did start to get why these games would help him in developing strategic skills. Yuryu had been impressed with Naruto's ability to grasp the concept of the game. He told Naruto that he had a very unpredictable mind, and that it would help him in the future when developing stratagems against his enemies. Naruto's next lesson was with Urahara. Urahara was supposed to start with a history lesson on the 5 great nations, but seeing that Naruto didn't know how to read or write, Urahara started teaching Naruto the alphabet and number system. This would mean his academic learning would take a little longer, but Urahara didn't mind since he enjoyed teaching the young prince. Naruto obviously had a sharp mind and quickly picked things up. The hard part was keeping him focused, as he tended to get bored easily and lose interest. Urahara soon learned that threatening to ask Megumi to give Naruto a shot if he kept falling asleep during a lesson worked marvelously. Urahara didn't care how Naruto learned his lessons. Fear of punishment worked just as well as eagerness for knowledge as far as he was concerned. How about this one, Grandpa? Asked Naruto as he held up his latest attempt at calligraphy work his grandfather was teaching him. That's better, Naruto, now try again. This time try to write it more cleanly, and you're still pressing the brush too much. Let it glide on the paper and your work will come out much better. But I've done it like 100 times. And they all look the same to me, whined Naruto. Naruto, sealing is a very complex art. You won't learn it in a day or 2. I have been training in sealing for decades. I am considered the best seal master in the world, and even I learn new things about sealing all the time, said Genryusai. Really? Asked the disbelieving Naruto. Yes, Naruto. You see, sealing is like no other ninja art. With sealing you're only as limited as your imagination. That is why sealing is so feared in battle. With sealing you can do just about anything your mind can conjure. Now it's not an easy process by any means. Even the tiniest mistakes can have horrific results. That is why we practice and practice. Even I practice every day so my skills stay sharp. You mustn't be dissuaded from it so easily, Naruto. You're an Uzumaki after all. Sealing is in your blood. Now go ahead and try it again. If you do it perfectly by the end of our lesson, I will let you have as much ramen as you can eat tomorrow, okay? Alright. I'll have it down for sure, Grandpa. Believe it! Yelled Naruto as he returned to his work with renewed vigor. Genryusai could only chuckle at how much like his mother Naruto was. He may look like his father on the outside, but on the inside he was all Kushina, all Uzumaki. 3 months had passed since Naruto's arrival in Whirlpool, and his family was very proud. The little blonde boy breathed new life into the palace and its inhabitants with his ever-happy attitude and seemingly endless energy. He was kind and hard-working child, and since he grew up never having anything, he was very appreciative of everything he had now. The news that trade was to be re-established with Fire Country, and by connection the Leaf Village, had been received with mixed reactions by the people of Whirlpool. As Kenshin had suspected, the news of how the new Prince of Whirlpool had been treated by the Leaf spread through Adindra like a wildfire. The vast majority of the military and civilians were outraged, and word quickly spread to all of Whirlpool's allies, who in turn expressed their disapproval toward the Leaf Village by sending most of their business elsewhere. That not only hurt the Leaf financially but politically, as many nations put pressure on the Fire Daimyo to keep a tighter leash on the village. The only thing that seems to go in the Leaf Village's favor was that with trade with Whirlpool re-established, the economy of Fire Country was on the rise, and it meant the Leaf Village was not in as bad position as it could have been otherwise. Back in Whirlpool, a small blonde boy was running for his life through the halls of the People's Palace. When he saw 2 members of the Guardian Corps standing guard, he made a beeline towards them. Please, you have to help me. She is trying to kill me. He screamed frantically at them. Before either of the guards could respond to the blonde boy, he disappeared in a yellow blur just as before a pair of shuriken embedded themselves into the ground the boy had just occupied a second ago. Naruto was running for all he was worth from the evil monster that was chasing him. Unfortunately for Naruto, the People's Palace was a maze of halls and rooms that you could easily get lost in if you didn't know where you were going. Naruto, in his haste to get away, did not pay attention and ran into a hall that was a dead end. No, 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 no! I have to get away! Naruto turned to run back the way he came only to have a menacing shadow appear around the corner. The ear-splitting scream was heard through the entire place, making several certain people, Naruto's teachers, laugh quite heartily. In his office, Genryusai heard the terrified scream and looked up from his paperwork. That was Naruto. It must be Tuesday already, he said before he decided to check how Naruto's training was going. Genryusai didn't have a hard time finding Naruto. All he had to do was follow the screams. Sure enough, it was Tuesday as he saw Shiger throwing shurikens at Naruto, who was desperately trying to dodge them. Genryusai walked up to Shiger and asked, Shiger-chan, how is Naruto's training going? Good, she said in a monotone voice without looking at him, or stopping what she was doing. Naruto, who saw his grandfather, yelled at him for help. Grandpa! Please help me! She's crazy! Genryusai turned back to Shiger and asked, what kind of training are you working on right now, exactly? Dodging was her answer as she continued to launch shurikens at Naruto. I see, carry on, said Genryusai as he turned and left to continue his paperwork, but not missing Naruto's indignant yell of, what? Genryusai only chuckled as he left. He was sure that Shiger wouldn't hurt Naruto. Well, not too much anyway. Later that day, Naruto found himself in Megumi's office getting his injuries looked at. Even though Shiger only gave him minor cuts and those were mostly healed by the fox by the time he got there, Megumi always liked to make sure Naruto was fully recovered after any injury. I'm telling you, Megumi-sensei, Megumi has been teaching him about medicine and healing, but only when he has free time, not as an official teacher. Naruto still calls her sensei. Shiger-sensei is going to kill me one of these days if she keeps throwing sharp weapons at me. Come now, Naruto, I'm sure she's not that bad. After all, you haven't actually gotten seriously hurt. You only have some small cuts, and those are almost done healing. Naruto had to agree. As much as Shiger's training freaked him out, she never actually hurt him. Well, it still hurts a lot, he grumbled. Well, you're fine now. Get yourself something to eat and rest before your next training session, okay? By the way, who is your next session with? Asked Megumi. I have ninjutsu training with Kurama-sensei. He said that Hai-sensei will be there this time, but he never shows up though. Well, maybe he'll show up this time. Naruto shrugged. I guess I'll see you later, Megumi-sensei, Naruto said as he waved goodbye and left to get something to eat. Yowak, this is impossible, whined Naruto as he tried to focus his chakra and hold a pair of leaves to his hands. Calm down, Naruto. I know you're getting frustrated, but you're doing great, said Kurama. But it's been 3 months and I can't get the leaves to stick for more than a few seconds, argued Naruto. I told you that's only because you have so much more chakra than most people. You're actually doing better than I thought you would be. Just relax and remember what I have told you about chakra. Chakra is a combination of both spiritual and physical energy. To be in control of your chakra, you must be in control of both your mind and body, replied Naruto. Exactly, so calm your mind and try it again. Yes, Kurama-sensei. As Naruto continued his exercise, Kurama turned to look behind him and spoke. Are you going to stay there all day, or are you going to actually help since you actually showed up? Coming from behind a tree, Hai answered him. I don't see why you and the daimyo insist on me being here. The boy had no chakra control, so you can't really think I can teach him anything. He has little control because of the fox. He is very sharp and works very hard too. If he didn't have the fox, he would certainly have amazing chakra control. It's only been 3 months and he can already do what even some of the kids in the ninja academies can't. I still think you're wasting your time. He has too much chakra. Having him try to use such a small amount is like trying to pick a grain of sand from a beach. You should focus on exercises that use more chakra to help him get better control, answered Hai in an irritated tone. That could work. Okay, I will get him started on tree climbing next time. Whatever, I'm leaving. Don't ask me to come until he can actually learn some jutsu, said Hai. I can't promise that. After all, you actually did help today, said Kurama. That pissed Hai off because he was right. Why didn't he just keep his mouth shut? Now they were going to make him show up more. Hai left the training area still cursing his bad luck. Chapter 7. Naruto found himself on his hands and knees panting. Even though he was exhausted, he was wearing a face-splitting grin. It was a situation that he often found himself in over the past year and a half. Naruto himself had changed a lot since coming to Whirlpool. He was no longer the malnourished, half-starved, and illiterate 5-year-old that his family found in the Leaf Village. With a proper diet, exercise, and excellent teachers, Naruto had proven that he inherited his father's brilliant mind. In fewer than 2 years he was already at a level well above any fifth-year academy student, perhaps even some of the newer genin as well. It had not all been work for Naruto either. No, he had a very happy life with his family too. He had his first real birthday party, which actually turned out more like a citywide festival since the entire city celebrated it with Naruto and his family. Naruto couldn't remember ever being this happy before. He loved his family, his teachers, and his new home. That's enough for today, Naruto. Go get some rest before lunch. But I can keep going, Sano-sensei, whined Naruto. Sure you can, kid, but I'm not going to get chewed out by Megumi again for letting you get chakra exhaustion because we practiced too long. I swear I thought I was going to lose my hearing from all that yelling. Naruto scratched the back of his head and smiled. Yeah, I got yelled at too. Okay, I'll go get ready for lunch. I have kenjutsu training with Uncle Kenshin this afternoon anyway. Tell that sourpuss not to forget we have to go out drinking tomorrow night, said Sano. Naruto stopped walking and turned around. You really should stop trying to get my uncle to meet women. Every time you guys go on one of your nights out he spends the next week even grumpier than usual. And I end up getting the worst of that situation during our sparring sessions. At least they're still wooden swords, right? Asked Sano with a grin. Yes, grumbled Naruto. I keep telling him I'm ready for a real katana but he won't budge. I'm sure he's got his reasons. Just give him some time, kid. It's not like you need to carry a sword around at your age anyway. Naruto sighed. I guess. I'll see you later, Sano-sensei, Naruto said as turned and ran out of the training ground. At another part of the People's Palace, the other 2 members of the Uzumaki clan were having an important meeting. Are you sure it's time for that, father? Asked Kenshin. Yes, Hinata-chan will have her 7th birthday in 2 months. She will start the Ninja Academy in 4 months. I don't think we can afford to wait to tell him any longer, said Genryusai. Will you require him to attend her birthday? You know he won't like going back there, even if it's for a day or 2, said Kenshin with a scowl on his face. I don't believe that would be a good idea. I have invited Hana-chan and her family for a visit so the children can meet each other. They will be here the week after Hinata's birthday, and they will spend a few weeks here before they return to the Leaf Village so Hinata can start the academy. So they will be here for Naruto's birthday celebration. Well, I suppose we can only hope for the best then. If you excuse me, I have to prepare for Naruto's lesson. Ah, yes. Today you start teaching him about our bloodline, right? Yes. I think his chakra control is good enough that we can start. I think he is ready, said Kenshin. Very well, son. Make sure to bring him here once your training is finished so we can tell him about the arrangement with the Hyuga. Yes, father. Without another word, Kenshin left the room to go and wait for Naruto. An exited Naruto arrived at the training ground. His uncle had promised they were going to start some special training today. Naruto was really hoping that he was finally going to get a real katana. He was tired of only practicing with wooden training swords. When Naruto arrived at the clearing, he saw his uncle standing in the center of it. Much to his frustration, Naruto also noticed that his uncle had brought the usual practice swords. Naruto opened his mouth to start complaining about it when he was suddenly attacked. Seemingly out of nowhere, Naruto saw a pair of glowing white chains with spiked ends shooting at him. Only because of his rigorous training was Naruto able to dodge them. The chains, however, seemed to have a mind of their own as they continued to attack him. The chains would strike at him like snakes, trying to stab him with the sharp points at their ends. After some close calls that managed to give Naruto to some shallow cuts, he had enough. Naruto started going through some well-practiced hand signs and yelled water style, tidal shield jutsu. Just as the chains were about to impale him, a circular shield made of water materialized itself in front of Naruto, blocking their relentless attack. Once he was sure the attack was over, Naruto released the jutsu, breathing heavily with the effort. What the hell was that? He screamed at his uncle, who still had not moved from the spot he saw him when Naruto arrived. That was a secret jutsu that only an Uzumaki can perform. It is a jutsu that can only be used with our bloodline, said Kenshin with a calm voice. A grin rapidly spread across Naruto's face. He finally realized that the special training his uncle had been talking about was training in his clan's bloodline. So you're finally going to tell me about our bloodline? Yes, but before I begin, why don't you tell me what you know about bloodlines in general? Naruto walked up to his uncle and then took a seat on the ground before he spoke. Well, Urahara-sensei told me about them a while ago. He said there were several types of bloodlines, but there are 3 main types. There are Dijutsu like the Sharingan that the Uchiha clan has or the Byakugan that the Hyuga clan has. Both clans are from the Leaf Village, he said with obvious dislike when he said Leaf. Dijutsu are ocular jutsu that enhances the user's eyesight. Each one has different capabilities that are unique to each other. Kenshin nodded his head. That's correct, and next? The next type is the elemental manipulation bloodlines. They are the most common because many clans have them. Some of the best known are the wood-using Senju clan from the Leaf Village, but there are others like the ice users of Water Country or the coal and lava users of Earth Country. I also heard that Wind Country has people that can use glass as a weapon. Very good, Naruto. And what is the last? The last type are the body manipulation bloodlines. Those are the bloodlines that enhances or manipulate your body in some way or another. Water Country has several like the Kagai clan that can manipulate their bones. Earth Country has a clan that can turn their skin into granite. And I heard that Lightning Country has a clan that can transform into dragon-like creatures. That's correct. I see that Urahara has been teaching you well. So which of the three types do we have? Asked Naruto excitedly. Either of them, answered Kenshin. Naruto's face faltered. Before he stood up and yelled, What do you mean we don't have either of them? Our bloodline is unique, Naruto. And it doesn't fit in any of those categories, answered Kenshin. Naruto seemed to relax. Okay, so what exactly is our bloodline and what does it do? Our bloodline is chakra-based, but it isn't an elemental bloodline. You see, the Uzumaki clan has very special chakra. Our chakra is different, more potent than everyone else's chakra. This gives us unique abilities. Our bloodline makes our bodies stronger and more resilient than others. It gives us large chakra reserves and highly increased stamina. Our bloodline also increases our longevity and our healing ability. It's one of the reasons why we can use gravity seals while any normal person would never be able to. Their bodies are not as strong as ours. That's why nobody but an Uzumaki can truly master the Hiten Mitsurugi style. Because it places too much stress on one's body. Even if they can imitate the moves, their bodies can't handle the strain. That's correct, Naruto. We will go into that later on. The other part of our bloodline is that because our chakra is so potent we can focus it to create weapons like the chains you saw when you got here. Yeah, those were pretty cool. Those are a special jutsu that will be a priority for you to learn because it will help you control that. Naruto placed a hand over his stomach. He had been told of his burden shortly after his birthday. Naruto now knew why the people of the Leaf Village hated him. At first he was not sure how to feel. He hated that it was him that was forced to be the vessel of the fox. But at the same time he knew that as an Uzumaki he was really the only choice. He didn't hate his father for placing the fox inside of him, but he certainly didn't idolize him like he did when he was in the village. Naruto had been told that his mother had been the previous host and that she never had a problem controlling the fox. Naruto swore that, like his mother, he would not let the fox control him. Naruto would grow strong on his own and not rely on the Nine Tails' power. I understand, uncle. I will do my best, said Naruto with determination. Then let's get started, said Kenshin. And for the next few hours Kenshin explained everything he could about the Uzumaki bloodline and began to teach Naruto ways to start to focus and control his chakra so that it could be used in Uzumaki-style ninjutsu. Later that night Naruto found himself in a meeting with his grandfather and uncle. Naruto knew it was something important because both had serious looks on their faces, while his uncle always had a serious look on his face, but for his grandfather it was very uncommon. Naruto, I have asked you here today to tell you something very important. Important not only for the Uzumaki clan, but for all of Whirlpool, said Genryusai in a commanding regal tone. Naruto knew for sure this was something important. His grandfather was speaking to him in the tone of voice he would use with visiting dignitaries or nobles that would come to see him. As you know, you will one day be the daimyo of Whirlpool and it will be your duty to guard and protect the people of our country. Yes, grandfather, answered Naruto. And you know that as the leaders of our people, sometimes we must make sacrifices for the good of those people. Naruto was not sure where his grandfather was going with this, but he had a bad feeling. Yes, grandfather, sometimes we must do what is necessary for the good of the people. Even if you don't like what you have to do for it, answered Naruto. As Genryusai looked into his grandson's eyes, he could only hope that he would one day find happiness with Hinata. The last thing Genryusai would want for Naruto would be to have him trapped in a loveless marriage. It was now too late to change his mind. He had given his word that Naruto would marry Hinata as his daughter would have wanted, and an Uzumaki always keeps his word, or dies trying. Then there is something I have to tell you, Naruto, said Genryusai in a serious voice. Naruto was very worried now. If the tone of voice his grandfather was anything to go by, then whatever he was going to tell him was going to be bad news. Naruto had only seen his grandfather talk to him like this once, when his grandfather told him about the nine-tailed fox. Naruto could only gather his courage and ask the question. What do you have to tell me, grandfather? Asked Naruto in a worried tone. Genryusai took a deep breath and closed his eyes. making a final silent prayer that this would not ruin his grandson's life. Genryosai opened his eyes and looked directly into Naruto's. Before your mother died, she was best friends with her former teammate, Hana Hyuga. Do you remember I told you about her? Seeing Naruto nod, Genryosai continued, Kushina and Hana were more like sisters, and even I looked at Hana as a second daughter. They were friends since they were children after all. Naruto was not sure why they were talking about this but answered, I have seen her in some of my mother's old photos. Anyone I have asked has told me Hana Hyuga is a very kind and caring person. Yes, she is a very kind person. Your mother loved her very much. So much that when she found out that Hana was pregnant with her first child, your mother was determined to get pregnant herself. Your father agreed as he too wanted to start a family, and a month later she was pregnant with you. Naruto blinked in surprise. He had not heard of that all. Wow, I had no idea, said Naruto. Then Kenshin decided to put in his 2 cents. When my sister and Hana were both pregnant, they agreed to have each other as the godmother to the other's child. That makes Hana Hyuga your godmother, and Kushina would have been godmother to Hana's daughter Hinata. I see, said Naruto, still not sure where this was going. And when your parents found out that Hana and her husband were having a girl while they were having a boy, they made a very important decision, a decision involving you. Naruto felt his chest grow tighter, dreading what his grandfather would say. Your parents wanted to unite both families by arranging a marriage between yourself and Hana's daughter Hinata, said Genryosai, and waited for Naruto's reaction. Naruto could only sit there in stunned silence. His parents had placed him in an arranged marriage? Sure, he had heard of them from Urahara. He knew that it was not uncommon for noble families to practice them, but he couldn't believe that his parents had actually placed him in one. And now he was expected to marry someone that he has never met? Naruto couldn't help but feel betrayed by his parents. One of the things he loved the most about his parents was that they obviously loved each other very much. You can see it in any of the pictures of them together. You could feel the love they had for each other. Naruto wanted that for himself in the future. He wanted to be able to look at his wife the way his father looked at his mom, and have his wife look at him like his mother looked at his father. But now that would probably never happen. I see. Naruto could feel his eyes start to moisten. I understand, grandfather, and I will perform my duty to the clan. If that is all, may I be excused? Naruto asked as it was getting hard to use his voice. The look of sadness in his grandson's usually happy face was painful for Genryosai to see. He knew Naruto would need time to sort out his feelings. Yes, you may, Naruto. Hinata and her family will be joining us in 2 months. They will be here so that the two of you can begin to know each other. Not feeling that he would be able to use his voice, Naruto gave his grandfather a nod before leaving to go to his room. Give him some time, father. He will be sad for a while, but he'll be back to his old self before you know it. He is my sister's son after all. He has her strength in him, said Kenshin. I hope you're right, son. I don't like to see him like this. All we can do is try to help him in any way we can. Yes, I suppose that is all we can do for now, said Genryosai, knowing that they would have to wait 2 months to see how Naruto and Hinata would interact with each other. He only hoped that their first meeting would go well. Back in the Leaf Village, the next 2 months flew by, and the day of Hinata's 7th birthday had arrived. It was a big day for the Hyuga clan. Over the last 2 years, things had begun to change for the clan, many things for the better. Hayashi, knowing that the elders had to tread carefully around him because of his alliance with the Uzumaki, had steadily been pushing for the unification between the main house of the Hyuga and the branch house. While it was slow going, it was still progressing, and Hayashi had the full support of the branch house, though his nephew still looked at the main house with contempt. Hinata had also changed in the last 2 years. While she was still a little shy around people she didn't know well, she was not the scared child that would cling to her mother's leg every time they left the compound. Hinata was more cheerful and confident than before and was advancing in her study of the gentle fist style. While she was still disliked by the elders and most of the main house, Hinata was loved by the entire branch house, except Niji. Hinata was very excited for her birthday. She loved spending time with all of her family. This year was more exciting because her parents were going to tell her some important news. The party itself was a very formal event. Many of the clan heads and their children stopped by. Hinata knew some of the children but was not really friends with them since she didn't really leave the compound very much. That was going to change this year because she was finally old enough to join the academy this year. It would start in 2 months, and some of the children she had met would be in her year. Hinata enjoyed talking, playing, and spending time with kids her own age. She enjoyed her party very much this year. It was after the guests had left that she was asked to meet her parents in the council room. When Hinata arrived, she was met by her parents, who were sitting in the middle of the room with what looked like a present in front of them. "Hinata, please sit. There is something of great importance that we need to speak to you about," said Hayashi as he motioned her to sit in front of them. "Yes, father," she said as she took a seat. "First of all, honey, we have one last present for you," said Hana as she pushed the beautifully wrapped box closer to Hinata. As Hinata carefully opened the box, she let out a small gasp. Inside the box, having been carefully packed, was a beautiful blue kimono the color of clear ocean water. It was obviously extremely expensive. It was pure silk and had small whirlpools all over in a darker blue. On the left shoulder it had the Hyuga clan crest, while on the right it had the red swirl that the ninja of the Leaf Village wore. Hinata lightly touched the fabric and noticed just how incredibly soft it was. This was the most beautiful kimono she had ever seen and couldn't wait for a chance to wear it. "It's gorgeous," Hinata said as she continued to stroke the fabric. "It's made from ember silk. Yes, I play WoW. Ember silk comes from the ember spider. It's a vicious spider that grows nearly 5 foot tall and is very dangerous. They are only found in a few small islands near Demon Country. Because of how dangerous it is to obtain and how beautiful the silk is, ember silk is extremely expensive. That kimono is more than likely worth a fortune," said Hana, having seen Kushina in a beautiful kimono made from ember silk for her wedding. "You didn't need to get this for me then, even though it is beautiful," said Hinata. "Your mother and I did not get this for you, Hinata. It was a present for you on the behalf of someone that you haven't met yet," said Hayashi. "But why would someone I have never met send me something so expensive?" asked Hinata, confused. Hayashi and Hana looked at each other, and once Hayashi got a nod from Hana as a final confirmation, he began to explain. "Hinata, you are my eldest daughter, and your mother and I both love you more than you can possibly imagine. You have a gentle, kind, and loving heart, and we love you for it. However, there are many within our clan that mistake your kindness for weakness. The clan elders among those that feel this way, along with the majority of the main house of our clan." Hinata was a smart child. She knew that the main house members didn't like her, and would often glare at her when they thought no one was looking. The elders often didn't bother to hide the glares from her. Because of this, after your sister was born 2 years ago, the elders demanded that you be removed as clan heir and be placed in the branch house. Hinata gasped. She knew that the elders didn't like her, but she would have never thought it would be this bad. "While they don't actually have the authority to force me to do it, they had enough support within the clan at the time to rip our family apart. It could have ended in a civil war within our clan. Your mother and I could not let that happen, but neither could we just let them place the seal on you." Hinata visibly shuddered at the thought of having that vile creation placed on her forehead. "That is when your mother came up with a plan to save both you and our clan. You see, before you were born, your mother was best friends with the wife of the 4th Hokage." Hinata smiled at that. Her mother often spoke of Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. "Yes, I know, mother, and I visited Whirlpool Country 2 years ago," said Hinata. "You visited Whirlpool for a very important reason, Hinata. Your mother loved her friends so much that when they found out that they were both pregnant, your mother with you, a girl, and Kushina with a boy, we made a choice for the good of the clan." Hinata felt her chest tighten, as if in warning that something bad was coming. "We reached an agreement for a betrothal contract between yourself and the son of the 4th Hokage," Hayashi said, knowing how much this would hurt his daughter. What?" was all Hinata was able to say as she was in shock of what she had just heard. It was originally to unite the Hyuga and the Namikaze clans. But the day that their child was born was the day that the 9-tailed fox attacked the village. As you know, both the 4th Hokage and his wife died that day. The 3rd Hokage also announced to the village that their son had died at childbirth. "But that was a lie," Hayashi said, cutting Hinata off. "Your mother and her sensei, along with 2 others, were there when the child was born. But the Hokage forbid us telling anyone. Whoever did would be killed for treason." "Why would he do that?" asked Hinata. "I don't know. But I think it was in a misguided attempt to keep a promise to the 4th. No matter the reason, it turned out to be a huge mistake. Your mother and I tried to do what we could for the boy, even tried to adopt him into our clan. However, the Hokage and the village council blocked us at every turn. When the elders tried to force the seal on you, we knew we had no other choice than to go against the Hokage to save the both of you." "What do you mean, to save the both of us, father?" asked Hinata. "Because of a certain condition, the 4th son was mistreated and scorned by most of the village. He needed saving just as much as you. The only way to save both of you was to activate the betrothal contract, but to do that we needed the child's true identity to be known. The only way to do that without being charged with treason by the Hokage was to secretly tell his mother's family that he was alive. That's why we went to Whirlpool Country, to tell his family," Hinata said, finally knowing why she was told to never mention that trip to anyone. "Yes, and your mother's plan worked. The Uzumaki clan agreed to protect you by activating the contract. That is the reason why you were not placed in the branch house. That unfortunately also means that you will not be head of the clan since you will be marrying the future daimyo of Whirlpool Country. Hinata felt tears begin to pool in her eyes. Her vision started to get blurry. Not only would she never be able to fulfill her dream of uniting her family, but she would be forced to marry someone she had never met. What if the Uzumaki didn't like her? What if they hated her like the main house did, and Whirlpool was far away? She would be many days' travel away from her family. Hinata could not help herself. She ran out of the council room and rushed to her own. Hana made as though to follow, but Hayashi stopped her. Let her be. She needs some time to herself. Right now there is nothing you can say that will make this look like it's not the end of the world. Let her be, and tomorrow, when she calms down, you can explain to her that we did this for her own good, and because we love her. Okay, it just breaks my heart to see her so sad, Hana said. I know, but this is many times better than the alternative. Hayashi and Hana left the meeting room without another word. That night in the Hyuga compound, if you listened very carefully, you would be able to hear the quiet sobs coming from the room of a heartbroken little girl. Chapter 8. Several days after Hinata's birthday, a delegation from the Hyuga clan, with a select few representatives for the Leaf included, made their way to Whirlpool Country. While Hinata's parents had done their best to help Hinata understand that this was what was best for her, and that everything would work out for the best, the look of sadness hadn't left her face. Hinata had accepted her fate. She knew that there was nothing she could do about it. No matter what her parents said, Hinata knew that her life was no longer her own. She would be expected to marry the person chosen for her no matter how she felt about it. She also knew that most noble families did not allow its members to practice the ninja arts. Luckily the Uzumaki are a ninja clan themselves, and that would not be a problem for her at least. Hinata's second arrival to Luca Port was much different than the first time. While last time they did their best to not bring attention to themselves, this time they were met by a full samurai squad to escort them to Edindral. Hinata and her mother had to act like this was Hinata's first time visiting Whirlpool since their first visit was still off the record. As the last of the Leaf members arrived on the dock, the leader of the samurai stepped forward to speak to them. Welcome to Whirlpool. I am Sasuke Sagara, captain of Squad 16 of the Infantry Division of the Guardian Corps. My squad is charged with escorting you to the People's Palace. If you follow us, we will lead you to the carriages that you will be traveling to the city in. Once everyone was settled into the carriages, the samurai escorted them from Luca Port to the bridge. The massive bridge was still breathtaking, and Hinata still found the giant whirlpools sounding the island to be an impressive sight. They just looked terrifyingly powerful. Many of the Leaf members who had never been to Whirlpool were just as amazed as she had been when she first came. Once the group made it past the gates and into the city, Hinata once again realized just how different this place was from the Leaf village. Edindral was likely the largest city in the world, certainly the largest city Hinata had ever heard of. She noticed that the people of the city seemed to be preparing for some sort of celebration. People were putting up decorations, many with the Uzumaki crest on them. Plazas were being set up with stands for food and games, and everyone seems to be happy as they worked with smiles on their faces. Excuse me, Captain Sagara, is there some kind of festival that the city is getting ready for? Asked Hinata. No, Lady Hinata, the people are getting ready for Naruto-sama's birthday celebration. His birthday is tomorrow, and the people will celebrate it all day long and well into the night as well. This year will be even bigger than last year by the looks of it. Ah, I see. Have you met him, Naruto Uzumaki? I have not actually met him, only seen him in passing. Because he is so important to this country's future, he is kept near his family and his teachers. Oh, so you don't know what he's like then? Hinata didn't know much about the boy she would eventually marry. She only knew that he was the son of the 4th Hokage and her mother's ex-teammate. As I said, I have not actually met him myself, but I do know that you need not worry. Naruto-sama is a very kind and intelligent young man. He is also very hard worker. He is trained by some of the best captains in the Guardian Corps, and never complains about how much work they make him do. I believe he will make a great leader someday. Perhaps once you get to know him, you will see that as well. Hinata spent the rest of the ride to the palace quietly thinking about what the captain said. Perhaps if she was lucky, her future husband would not be too bad. She knew she had to make the best of it, not only because she had no other choice, but because it was expected of her by her clan and the whole Leaf village as well. Once the group arrived at the People's Palace, they were escorted to their rooms. After resting and having time to freshen up and change into more formal clothing, they were led to the throne room. Hinata and the rest of the Hyuga were wearing traditional Hyuga robes, while the Leaf Jonin representing the Hokage wore their standard uniform. As the door opened, Hinata's heart started to beat faster. It was time. The next meeting was likely the most important meeting of her life. All she could hope for was that it would go well. Naruto had not been his usual happy self over the last 2 months since being told about the arranged marriage. He had been depressed for weeks, and only recently had he began to act more like himself. Naruto had spoken to all of his teachers and asked many questions. While he didn't like his situation, he knew it was his duty to his people, and it helped a little knowing that his mother wanted this for him. Naruto's teachers helped by listening and advising Naruto in what little ways they could. Naruto hoped that the girl wouldn't be one of those really stuck-up nobles he had come to hate. At least this Hinata girl is from a ninja clan, and would relate to him better than most girls his age. Naruto honestly didn't have any friends his own age. Naruto loved his family and his teachers, but he did feel like he was missing out on something. Because of who he was, most kids around his age would not even look him in the eyes. Kids in the palace were either servants or academy students for the Guardian Corps, and would not really talk to him unless spoken to. Naruto knew they didn't do it to be mean, they were just intimidated because he was an Uzumaki. After several failed attempts at making friends his age, Naruto had given up. Maybe he would have better luck with Hinata. After all, if they were going to be married one day, he might as well try and be friends with her at least. Naruto sat to his grandfather's left wearing a royal, dark blue kimono that had several intricate designs on it. Naruto hated wearing all this formal stuff but knew he had no choice. His grandfather was in the middle as he sat on the Uzumaki throne, and his uncle was standing next to him. Both were wearing similar kimonos to the one Naruto was wearing. Naruto sat straighter when he heard his grandfather tell a servant to let the group from the Leaf Village in. It was time to meet the person he would share his future with. Naruto looked on as several people were escorted into the throne room. There were 3 men that were defiantly ninja of high rank, judging by appearances. One of them had black hair tied in the shape of a pineapple. He had a scar on his face as well as a lazy look to him. His appearance didn't fool Naruto. This guy was paying close attention to everyone and everything in the room. The second man had black hair and was wearing a coat that covered the bottom part of his face. He was also wearing sunglasses that Naruto thought were pretty cool. This man had a very stoic look to him. Naruto could tell this man knew how to keep cool in stressful situations. The third man had black hair and a beard, and even if the man tried to hide it, Naruto and likely everyone in the room could still smell the scent of tobacco coming off of him. He was wearing a sash that Naruto recognized as unworn by the elite guardians of the Fire Daimyo, so Naruto knew this guy had to be pretty strong. To their left were 2 much older-looking people, a man and a woman, both wearing expensive kimonos similar to the ones that the dignitaries that regularly visit Whirlpool. They both had an arrogant feel to them, like they felt they were very important people or something. Naruto didn't pay much attention to them at all. To the far right there was a larger group of people. They were all wearing regal-looking white robes. They all had long black hair and clear pupilless eyes, the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan. There were 4 men protectively flanking the 5 people in the center. In the center there was a much older man, the only one who had mostly white hair. He also had an I'm better than anyone kind of attitude to him. Next to him was a stern-looking man, who Naruto assumed was the head of the Hyuga clan, Hayashi Hyuga if Naruto remembered correctly. Standing next to Hayashi was his wife, Hana Hyuga. She was a very beautiful woman. Hana had long silky dark blue hair, and her Byakugan had a more lavender tint to them than the usual colorless one that the other Hyuga had. She was giving Naruto a loving smile that he could tell she honestly meant. Hana had a very cute little girl in her arms that seemed to be about 2 years old, Hanabi Hyuga, the younger of the 2 Hyuga heirs. It was the final member of the group that drew Naruto's attention. She was about his age and wore the same white robes as the other Hyuga. She had short hair the same dark blue color as her mother, as well as the same lavender tint in her Byakugan eyes. She had a nervous look on her face that Naruto understood, and Naruto could see the hint of a blush on her cheeks. She's very pretty, thought Naruto as he felt an unfamiliar heat on his face. It was as Naruto looked at the person he was expected to one day call a wife that she looked his way and their eyes met. Hinata had a difficult time trying to keep calm as her family made their way into the throne room. She kept her eyes down as much as possible, not daring to look up. It was not until they were standing in front of the Uzumaki family that Hinata gathered her courage and looked up. She looked up and directly into the brightest pair of blue eyes she ever seen. They were deeper than the ocean. They boy also had golden blonde hair that was as bright as the shining sun. Hinata also noticed he had these cute whisker-like markings on his cheeks. Hinata couldn't help the full-blown blush that was on her face at that moment. He's cute, thought Hinata as she looked away. missing the slight blush that appeared on Naruto's cheeks. Genryusai looked at every one of the Leaf members before speaking. Welcome all of you to Whirlpool. I hope your trip was a pleasant one. Hayashi stepped forward and spoke. We thank you for your hospitality, Daimyo-sama. Our trip was indeed a pleasant one. Excellent. I am glad the Hyuga clan was able to accept my invitation. However, I see there are others I did not expect as well, Genryusai said as he glanced at the other members of the Leaf village. Before Hayashi could continue, Hamura Mitokado stepped next to him and spoke. We are here to represent the council in this meeting. It is after all of great importance to the entire village. Troublesome, Shikaku Nara stepped forward to speak. We are here to represent the Hokage in this meeting, and to make sure that some people, he said glaring at the village elders, don't cause an incident between our village and Whirlpool. The last one to step forward was Asuma Sarutobi. Asuma bowed to the daimyo and said, I'm Asuma Sarutobi. I'm here to represent both the Hokage and the Fire Lord. Very well, I believe we will have no problem accommodating extra guests. Genryusai then turned to the girl that one day would be queen of Whirlpool. He noticed Hinata shooting nervous glances at Naruto with a blush on her face. Genryusai smirked. Maybe this won't end too badly after all. Hinata Hyuga, daughter of Hayashi and Hana Hyuga and heiress of the Hyuga clan, come forward, Genryusai said in his commanding regal tone. Hinata fought the urge to EP. She nervously stood up and walked forward until she was only a few feet from the Uzumaki clan. As practice, she bowed to the daimyo, then waited for him to continue. Naruto Uzumaki, son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, Crown Prince of Whirlpool, come forward. Naruto, like a true Uzumaki, did as told without showing how nervous he actually was. Naruto stopped when he was standing in front of Hinata. His clear blue eyes looked directly into her pupilless lavender eyes. Though it was only for a few seconds, to the both of them it seemed like an eternity as they looked into each other's eyes. The eyes of their future spouses. Hinata knew she had to be the first to introduce herself, but had a hard time tearing her eyes away from the intense, piercing blue gaze that seemed to look directly into her soul. But with a great effort she did, and with a bow to her future husband she introduced herself. My name is Hinata Hyuga. It is an honor to meet you. Naruto followed her lead and did the same. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. It is an honor to meet you as well. Both kids straightened up looking rather embarrassed, which brought smiles to some of the people in the room. Excellent. Naruto, why don't you show Hinata around the palace? It will give you both time to get to know each other without adults getting in the way. I have things to discuss with our guests that neither of you need to be here for, said Genryusai. Naruto, hating these boring meetings, didn't need to be told twice. Lady Hinata, please allow me to escort you around the palace, Naruto said as he extended his arm as he had been trained to. Hinata blushed prettily. Thank you, Naruto-sama, she said as she took his arm and let him lead her out of the throne room. Once Naruto and Hinata had left the room, Genryusai turned to look at the rest of the Leaf Ninja. He wasn't happy to have the extra members of the group, but he would deal with it. Are you sure they should be left alone, Daimyo-sama? Asked Koharu Yuditane. I assure you, they are perfectly safe inside the People's Palace. Besides, they're children. They should be allowed to get to know each other without adults interfering. But this is a very important meeting that you were not invited to. Genryusai cut her off. This was to be a private matter between the Uzumaki and the Hyuga clans. This union is of greater importance than that, and you know it. The entire Leaf Village has a stake in the outcome of the marriage between those children. We only wish to do what we can to help them get along as best as possible. I'm confident they don't need any of us to get along. Besides, they have plenty of time to get to know each other. While that may be true, Daimyo-sama, it would be illogical to ignore the importance that their first meeting has in their future relationship, Shibi Aburame said in his usual monotone voice. It is more important that they are allowed to be themselves, which they can't do with all of us adding unnecessary pressure. Their relationship will take time to build. What we should do is make things as easy as possible for the kids to grow closer on their own, answered Genryusai. Reluctantly, the rest of the Leaf Ninja agreed. If that is all for now, I'm sure you are all still tired from your trip. Let us meet at dinner after all of you have had time to rest. You will have samurai escorts outside your respective rooms in case you wish to explore the palace. Please be aware that any and all chakra use can be detected, that includes your bugs, Aburame-san. Please remain with your escorts at all times when you leave your rooms. We don't want any incidents, said Genryusai, making sure everyone knew it wasn't a request. Just as everyone was making their way out of the throne room, one of the Hyuga stayed behind. I would like a private word with you if I could, Uzumaki-sama, said the Hyuga elder. Genryusai already knew the man would ask for this meeting, so he wanted to get it over with. Very well, what would you like to speak about, Hyuga-san? Asked Genryusai politely. I would like to speak to you about the agreement that was arranged between yourself and Hayashi. As you know, the Hyuga clan is very protective of our bloodline. Hayashi agreed to your request of having Hinata's Byakugan unsealed without the permission of the Hyuga Council. As a clan head of a ninja clan with your own bloodline, you understand that we would like to find a way for your clan to keep its members enslaved. Cut in Kenshin in an angry tone. The elder glared at Kenshin but knew better than to answer him, because Kenshin was right. As I told Hayashi, that is non-negotiable. I have studied your caged bird seal and it's an abomination. You changed the seal my Aunt Mito made for the Hyuga. That seal protected your bloodline without the ability to cause pain to the one bearing it. Do not forget, Hyuga-san, I am known as the best seal master in the world. Do you honestly believe I haven't already found a way to safely remove that seal of yours? The Uzumaki smirked as the Hyuga elder paled. Oh yes, I already have. I already told Hayashi and Hana about it. They both believe it would cause too much bloodshed if we were to try to have the Hyuga branch house unsealed at the moment. However, it is a possibility. Personally, what the Hyuga do to each other is none of my concern. However, Hinata is as good as an Uzumaki in my eyes. Genryusai's eyes narrowed and his tone of voice hardened, and the Uzumaki take care of their own. Is that clear? The elder gritted his teeth and answered, Crystal. He then stormed out of the room in a rage. What are the chances that they will let this go? Asked Kenshin. Not likely, they're too stubborn for them to let it go so easily. We'll have to keep an eye on things. If they try something stupid, they'll find out why you don't ever anger the Uzumaki. Shortly after leaving the throne room, Naruto was leading a nervous Hinata through one of the many halls in the palace. He stopped and turned to look at Hinata. So, what would you like to see first? He asked, not sure what she would like. Hinata fidgeted with her finger before saying, anything you like will be fine, Naruto-sama. Oh, you really don't need to use the whole sama thing. I don't really care about that stuff. Besides, I thought that we could be friends, you know? Naruto said as he smiled and scratched the back of his head. Hinata blushed. Okay, Naruto-kun? Naruto smiled and nodded. So Hinata, what kinds of things do you like to do back home? Well, I like to spend time in the garden with my sister or learning to cook with my mother when I'm not studying or training. I also like to read. In that case, let's go to one of the palace's gardens, said Naruto. Hinata was excited when she heard that, thinking he meant the Garden of Life. Naruto escorted Hinata to a very spacious garden with many beautiful flowers. It was beautiful but not what Hinata expected, so she asked Naruto, is this the Garden of Life? Oh, you know about that? No, this is just one of our regular gardens. To be honest, even I haven't been to the Garden of Life. It's a very important location for my clan. It holds the remains of the founder of our clan. My grandfather said he would take me to it soon though. I'm sorry, but I can't take you there. Well, not until we're actually married, he said, causing both of them blush furiously. What kind of training do you do, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked once they took a seat in one of the many stone benches that the garden had. I do all kinds of training. I have 9 different teachers that help me study all sort of things. 9 teachers? I only train with my parents, but I will start the academy when we return to the village. I'm really looking forward to it. Hinata noticed that Naruto frowned when she mentioned the Leaf Village. Is something wrong, Naruto-kun? I'm sorry, Hinata, but I don't have a good opinion of the Leaf Village. Why? I know that you used to live there, but my mother didn't tell me much. Can you tell me? I would like to get to know you better, Naruto sighed. Okay, since we're going to be friends and more than that later on, I guess you have a right to know everything. And Naruto did tell Hinata everything. He told her about his parents' deaths, about his treatment in the orphanage, and more importantly about the fox getting sealed inside of him. Hinata was in tears by the end of his tale. Naruto thought she was crying because she thought he was some kind of freak, or because she was scared of him. He couldn't help but feel hurt. He thought he would finally have a friend. Imagine his surprise when Naruto felt Hinata's arms wrap around him as she gave him a tight hug. Naruto felt his own eyes water as he returned the hug. I'm sorry that the people of my village treated you that way, Naruto-kun. You didn't deserve any of it. You never asked to be the jailer of a demon. You mean you're not afraid? Asked a confused Naruto. My mother told me that your mom was also a Jinchuriki, and she was still my mother's best friend. I don't care about that. I still want to be your friend. I actually don't have any back home. There are not many kids my age in the clan, and I'm not allowed to go outside the compound without an escort, so it makes it hard for me to approach other kids. Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't have any friends my age either. Well, we have each other now, right? Just like our moms had each other? Naruto smiled widely. Yeah, I guess we do. After Naruto and Hinata spent some more time talking and getting to know what each other liked or didn't like, one of the servants came to let them know they had to get ready for dinner. After Naruto escorted Hinata to the room she shared with her parents, and sister, Naruto left to get ready with a big smile on his face. The dinner went surprisingly well. Naruto and Hinata sat next to each other and talked about many little things like what food they liked or didn't like, while the adults talked about politics and finances. They all paid attention to how well Naruto and Hinata seemed to be getting along. That was a relief to everyone, especially Hinata's parents and Naruto's family. The next day was Naruto's birthday, and the entire palace was a buzz of activity. After breakfast, Hinata joined Naruto in his taijutsu training with Sano. Naruto soon learned that the Hyuga were feared for a reason. The gentle fist wasn't very gentle at all, and it hurt. After training, the Leaf Ninja and the Uzumaki left the palace to go to a Kenjutsu tournament that was being held in Naruto's honor. The members of the Leaf village were very impressed with some of the skilled samurai that participated in the tournament, especially when they were told that none of the officers of the Guardian Corps were allowed to participate. It just showed that Whirlpool was a dangerous enemy to have. After that, Adindral had a parade that was attended by thousands of people and was enjoyed by everyone. After the parade, the group returned to the palace, where they had an early dinner. After dinner, the Uzumaki and the Leaf Ninja were waiting for Hana and Hinata to finish getting ready so they could go to the city and enjoy the rest of the festival-like attractions. "What's taking them so long?" said an impatient Naruto. Walking around the city at night was one of his favorite things to do on his birthday, that and looking at the fireworks. Naruto was wearing a formal dark blue kimono similar to the one he had worn the day before. This one was a little more casual and allowed for the wearer to be more comfortable while walking around. "You better get used to waiting around for women, because it only gets worse when they're older. Women are so troublesome," said Shikaku, who was wearing a gray kimono provided by the Uzumaki clan. Asuma and Shibi were wearing similar ones. Shibi's, however, was altered to cover the bottom part of his face. He was still wearing his sunglasses. "Eh? What do you mean?" asked Naruto. Shikaku was about to answer before he suddenly felt a sense of dread creep over him. "Yes, please explain, Shikaku-san. I'm sure your wife would like to hear what you have to say." Everyone turned to see Hana, who was wearing a beautiful lavender kimono. She had Hanabi in her arms. Hanabi was wearing a white and red kimono that made her look real cute. A very nervous Shikaku answered. Nothing. I didn't mean anything at all. Women are the least troublesome of anything at all, really." This made several members of the group chuckle, and Asuma made a coughing sound that sounded a lot like whipped. Naruto was still confused, but his attention was stolen by the person that had just entered the room. Hinata was wearing the ember silk kimono that had been given to her on her birthday. Naruto felt his face heat up. Hinata looked more like a princess than many of the actual princesses he had met. Do I look okay, Naruto-kun?" she asked shyly with small blush on her face. Naruto's blush deepened. "You look very pretty, Hinata." Hinata's face was so red that it would have made a tomato jealous. "H-heim?" Naruto gave her one of his face-splitting smiles. "Yes, I'm calling you Hinata-heim from now on. Is that okay?" I would like that, Naruto-kun." The rest of the night went very well for the group. The kids enjoyed the games and the food. Hinata noticed how much the people of Whirlpool loved Naruto. Many times people would come up to them as they walked around and introduce themselves or just said hello. Hinata herself was well treated in the Leaf Village, but never to this extent. It was like Naruto was a celebrity here. Naruto, however, didn't seem to notice very much. He was always polite and happy to talk to any of the people. He never ignored them or acted like he was too important to speak with commoners like some of the members of her clan. Hinata really liked that about him. At the end of the night, the group returned to the palace and watched the fireworks that signaled the end of Naruto's birthday celebration. Naruto had to admit, he had been worried about meeting Hinata. He was unsure what he should have expected. But now he was happy to have met her. She is a little shy sometimes, but she is very kind. She is also very smart, and will be a strong ninja when she is older. He was glad that Hinata is a very down-to-earth girl and not snobbish at all. Most of all, Naruto was glad to finally have a friend his own age, someone he could talk to about kid stuff but could also talk to about clan stuff as well. It didn't hurt that Naruto, though Hinata was very pretty. The Hyuga clan along with the rest of the guests stayed for 2 weeks in Whirlpool. In that time, Naruto spent most of his time with Hinata. They trained together with most of Naruto's teachers. Naruto was adamant that Hinata did not meet Shigeru for her own safety. Hai said he wasn't a babysitter, so he wasn't there with Kurama, but Hinata met all of Naruto's other teachers. Hinata was not allowed to go with Naruto to his Kenjutsu training because she was not an Uzumaki. Yet, the Uzumaki and Hinata's parents considered the visit a complete success. The kids got along great and quickly became friends. As had been agreed, Hinata will visit every summer until she became a genin, which will be in 5 years. At that point Naruto will have a choice to become a leaf genin and spend more time with Hinata, or wait until he and Hinata reach their 16th birthday, at which point they will be allowed to get married. Both the Uzumaki and Hinata's parents hope to wait longer than that. It is the earliest that the wedding can happen, but that didn't mean that they wanted the kids married so soon. It was time to say goodbye. The rest of the Leaf Ninja had boarded the ship, and now Hana and Hayashi waited as Hinata said goodbye to Naruto. "I'm glad we met, Hinata. I'll make sure to write to you as much as I can," said Naruto. "I'm glad to have met you too, Naruto-kun. I promise to write as well." Hinata had a lot of fun spending time with Naruto. He was always so confident about everything and his happy attitude was infectious. Hinata found herself laughing and playing for the first time in her life. Sure, she played with Hanabi, but it was not the same because she was so small. She was really going to miss Naruto. "I guess I will see you next summer. Have fun in the academy, okay, Hinata? I will. And I will be a lot stronger next year too. I can't wait." "Goodbye, Naruto said as he hugged Hinata. "Goodbye, Naruto-kun." Hinata returned to hug. She was having a hard time trying not to cry. She just made her first friend, and she wouldn't see him for a whole year. After they were finished saying goodbye, Hinata and her family boarded the ship. Naruto was sad to see her go, but he would see Hinata again. "Don't worry, Naruto-kun. You will see Hinata-chan again before you know it," said Genryusai. "I know, grandfather. But I will still miss her." "Oh, I don't know if you'll have time to miss her too much." "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "Your uncle and I have decided to increase your level of training, both for your physical, academic, and political training, so plan to be very busy over the next few months." Naruto grinned. That sounded like a challenge to him. Naruto Uzumaki never backed down from a challenge. Chapter 9. It was a very exciting day for Hinata. Today was the first day of the academy. Hinata had been escorted by her mother and father. She had noticed several other parents as they brought their kids to school. Hinata was nervous, but she was looking forward to learning and hopefully also making friends. When Hinata walked in the room that she had been assigned to, she noticed some familiar faces. The heirs for the Nara, Akimichi, Aburame, and Inuzuka clans were all there. Hinata noticed that the second son of the Uchiha clan head was there as well. There were several children from civilian families there too, including a pink-haired girl that was talking to the Yamanaka clan heiress. Hinata made her way to the back of the class and took the seat next to the Aburame heir, Shino. Hinata had met him on a few occasions and observed he was a very quiet boy. Hinata thought he was nice enough. Several minutes later, two Chunin walked in the room and asked for everyone to quiet down. "All right, everyone settle down. My name is Irika Yumino, this is Mizuki. We will be your instructors for your time in the academy." Irika-sensei explained several of the rules of the academy, and what he expected of them in the future. "Okay then, now why don't we get to know each other? I will call each of your names and I would like each of you to stand up and introduce yourselves. Let's start with..." Hinata watched as Irika-sensei called several names and the children introduced themselves. Nothing too exciting, they would say their name, and if they came from a clan they would say as much. Finally it was Hinata's turn. "Next is Hinata Hyuga. Please introduce yourself." Hinata was a little nervous but tried not to show it as she stood up. She did notice that her name caused several whispers among the students, especially among the children from ninja clans. "My name is Hinata Hyuga of the Hyuga clan, nice to meet all of you." Hinata then gave the class a small bow and took her seat. She had no idea that all kids from the major clans of the village and some of the kids related to members of the civilian council had instructed their children to try and be friends with her. They didn't tell their children why Hinata was so important, and that was the reason why many of the kids were curious about her. After everyone had introduced themselves, it was time for a break and everyone was let out of the class. Once Hinata made her way to the playing ground area, remember there are only 7, she realized that some of the kids would whisper and point, which made Hinata uncomfortable. "You shouldn't let them get to you, you know." Hinata turned around to see the Inuzuka heir standing behind her. "They've just heard a lot about you. We all have actually." "Why you have?" asked a confused Hinata. How could they have heard a lot about her when she rarely left the Hyuga compound? "Yes, we have." A monotone voice was heard to the side of them. Hinata and Kiba turned to see that it was Shino Aburame who spoke. Shino was standing under the shade of a tree looking at some ants. "What did you hear?" asked Hinata. Kiba shrugged. "Only that you are somehow important to the village, something about your clan having an important alliance with some other big-shot clan." My mom told me not to do anything that would make your clan angry at my clan. Not that I planned on doing something like that anyway. My father also spoke of an important political alliance between the Hyuga and another clan that was of great importance to the Leaf Village. He said it would be illogical for me to do anything that would cause a conflict between our clan and the Hyuga. Shino said in his usual tone of voice. I see. Thank you both for telling me. Hinata spent the rest of playtime with Kiba and Shino, then the lunchtime that they had later that day as well. She didn't tell them about her arranged marriage, and they didn't try to ask about it either. The rest of the day went fairly well. Kids were still pointing, but overall Hinata enjoyed her first day at the academy. When the class was over, she said goodbye to Shino and Kiba and went to meet her parents. How was your first day, honey? Asked her mother. Hinata smiled. I liked it very much. I met several new people too. I think I'm going to enjoy coming here very much. Well, we are happy to hear it. Come on, Hinata, let's go home. You can tell us all about it. Okay, I also want to write a letter to Naruto-kun and tell him all about it. I'm sure he would love that. Unknown to the Hyuga family, another of Hinata's classmates was watching them as they left. So that's the girl that father mentioned. I don't see what's so special about her. I guess I'll have to keep an eye on her. Are you ready to go, Sasuke? If we're late, mother will be upset. Yes, brother, let's go. A few days after the visitors from the Leaf Village left for home, Naruto sat in front of both his grandfather and uncle. They were going to discuss his new training with him before he actually got started. Naruto was excited. He looked forward to new and exciting training. Naruto, after speaking with your uncle, we both have decided that you are ready to begin your training with a real Uzumaki blade. Naruto's face lit up with happiness and excitement. Naruto had been waiting for a long time for permission to start training with an actual katana, but his uncle had insisted that he wasn't ready. Now that his uncle felt he was ready, Naruto couldn't wait to get started. So you're finally going to give me a katana? That's so cool. I can't wait to get started. Naruto, calm down. Now, the first thing you need to know is that as an Uzumaki you don't just get a blade handed to you. The Hitenmitsurugi requires a special blade to be forged in order to be able to handle the stress that our style places on the sword we use. Kenshin answered in a stern voice. So, I have to make a sword for myself? Cool, it's not that simple, Naruto. It will take months or even years to be able to forge a sword good enough to be used with the Hitenmitsurugi. In the meantime, we will continue to use practice swords, only these will be made of steel so that you can get used to the feel of a real blade in your hands. Hearing from his uncle that they will still use practice swords frustrated Naruto a little, but he got over it rather quickly. Before you start your training, your uncle and I believe it's time we take you to see the Garden of Life. Every Uzumaki is allowed to see the grave of our clan's founder, and lay eyes on the great Erasure before they begin their advanced level of training in the Hitenmitsurugi. Now that got Naruto excited. Awesome! I've wanted to go there forever. So when can we go, grandfather? We will go there now. There is no reason to wait any longer. Cool, let's go! Yelled an energetic Naruto as he sprinted out the door. He doesn't know where the garden is, does he? Asked Kenshin. Genryusai sighed. No, I don't think he does. Well, might as well go get him before he gets lost again. Good idea. The Garden of Life stood at the very center of the People's Palace. It was a place that could only be entered by a member of the Uzumaki clan. There was a single corridor that led to the only entrance to the garden. That corridor was always under guard by members of the Guardian Corps. When the garden was created, it was layered with hundreds of seals created by the Uzumaki clan. The seals were for everything from climate control to self-cleaning seals. There are seals to protect the stones and rare plants, flowers, and artifacts. Naruto was speechless the moment he entered the garden. The Garden of Life was set in a perfectly circular pattern with a roof dome of clear glass that let in the bright daylight for the many lush and beautiful plants and trees that inhabited the garden. Around the garden, set in beds along the walls, there were plants of all types, colors, and sizes. Naruto recognized some as different types of roses, tulips, orchids, and many flower species Naruto had never seen or heard of. Along the flower beds there were walkways made of a flawless bright white stone that appeared to be some type of marble. The walkways wound around the entire room, giving access to every part of it without the need to step on any of the plants or perfectly kept grass. Beyond the flowers were some exotic trees, short stone walls with vines covering them, and more well-tended plants that complemented the landscape. Naruto noticed many of those plants were plants used for medical purposes. Some of them were very rare if he remembered correctly. The garden was certainly a place of beauty and peace. Naruto was led towards the center of the vast garden. In the center of the garden there was an area of lawn that swept around into a circle towards the middle of the garden, In the very center there was a spacious and extravagant-looking pond, filled with crystal-clear water and beautiful koi fish of different colors and sizes. In the center of the large pond was a small island, which could only be accessed by a bridge made of the same flawless white marble that made up the garden's many walkways. On the island there were two things that drew Naruto's attention. One was an ancient-looking white tree that looked a lot like a sakura tree, except that the flowers on it were not the usual pink-colored flowers that Naruto would have expected. The flowers on this tree were a bright blood-red color that was a breathtaking sight to see. At the center of the island there was what Naruto knew was the tomb of the founder of the Uzumaki clan. It was a simple, perfectly rectangular-shaped tomb made of white marble. It was about 3 feet high, just low enough for Naruto to be able to see it without problem. The tomb also had intricate carvings of historical scenes on all 4 sides. The one that drew Naruto's attention most was the carving that depicted the creation of the massive whirlpools that gave their country its name. Here lies the founder of our clan, one of the original members of the Rokukyoshu and student of the Sage of Six Paths. This is the tomb of Takashi Uzumaki, Lord of Storms, wielder of the legendary sword Erasure. The moment that his grandfather mentioned the legendary blade, Naruto's eyes shot to the top of the tomb where his grandfather had told him the blade rested. And just as Naruto had been told, the once magnificent blade laid on top of its master's tomb. The Erasure had been broken in 3 pieces. Naruto looked at the first piece. It was the hilt of the blade. The handle was wrapped in a dark ocean blue silk that looked almost new. Naruto had expected it to look old and worn. Naruto had been told by his uncle that the material was ember silk that had been layered with seals to protect it from stains and damage. Still, it didn't look used at all. The tsuba, handguard, was a red circle, and was made in the shape of the Uzumaki crest. It was the blade itself that took Naruto's breath away. The blade was of average length, about 28 inches, and had been broken in 2 in almost the center of the blade. That, however, was not really noticed by Naruto. What drew Naruto's attention was that the blade of the sword didn't look like it was made of metal at all. The blade looked almost like it was made of glass or water. It had a color like clear blue water, and Naruto could tell that the blade was semi-transparent. Think of the color of the Brotherhood sword in FFX, and you would get what I was trying to go for. Naruto's hand moved, as though drawn to the sword with a mind of its own, to touch it. Be careful, Naruto, the blade is… Ouch. It's still sharp. Naruto whined as he sucked on his now bleeding finger. Genryusai sighed. I tried to tell you, Naruto. The blade may be hundreds of years old, but it has never grown dull because of the many seals placed on it when Takashi forged it. What's it made of? Asked Naruto. Genryusai was about to answer him when Kenshin spoke. Father! Look at the Erasure. There was more emotion in his uncle's voice than Naruto had ever heard come out of him. Naturally, both Uzumaki looked at the sword to see what he was so excited about. When Naruto and his grandfather turned to look at the sword, they saw that the blade had begun to glow. It was only faintly at first, but it quickly grew brighter and brighter. Suddenly the ends of the blade, where it had been broken, seemed to momentarily liquefy and connect with each other. The glowing slowly stopped, and when it had completed, the Erasure was whole once more. By Kami, I don't believe my eyes, said a stunned Kenshin. Almost as if in a trance, Genryusai spoke. In the time before the great darkness, the true heir of Whirlpool shall rise. And only then will the sword that was broken be remade. But that's impossible. You can't actually belly. You saw with your own eyes, Kenshin. Naruto touched the sword, and only then did this happen, Genryusai said, pointing to the Erasure. What are both of you talking about? What's going on? Asked a confused Naruto. Genryusai looked directly into his grandson's eyes. When Takashi Uzumaki was on his deathbed, he spoke of a child of prophecy. The one that would save the world from a great darkness. His last words before he died were the words I spoke. From that time, till this day, every heir of the Uzumaki clan has been brought here before they start their advanced training and after they have completed said training. I never imagined that I would live to see the day that the Erasure would accept another as its master, far less that it would be my own grandson. What does this all mean exactly? Asked Naruto. It means that your training is going to be even more intense than we originally planned. It appears that you will be important not only to Whirlpool but to the entire world in the future. I hope you're ready for it, Naruto. Naruto grinned. Believe it! The sound of clashing steel rang across the Uzumaki private training ground several days later. A frustrated-looking Naruto held Erasure firmly with both hands. Unlike his uncle, Naruto was covered in shallow cuts and bruises, some that were already healing thanks to the Uzumaki bloodline. Naruto, don't just react to my attacks. You have to pay attention to my movements. The Hitenmitsurugi style relies on our ability to read our opponent's attacks. Pay attention to my stance. Look closely to how I distribute my weight. Every small detail of your opponent's posture can be used to predict what he or she is going to do next. Every movement, no matter how small, can be what determines whether your fight ends in victory and defeat. Yes, uncle, I will try harder, answered Naruto. Let's take a short break for now. We can continue after you have rested a little. Okay, father said you received a letter from Hinata. Did you write her back? Yes, she started the academy and is really happy. She has already made some new friends and is enjoying spending time with kid her own age. I wrote back and told her about the erasure. I see. I'm glad to see that you are getting along with each other. Once we are finished with today's training, father wants to speak to us. Is there something wrong? Asked Naruto. I don't know. We will have to see what he wishes to speak to us about. Naruto continued his new kenjutsu training. His uncle was harder on him now that he was wielding a true Uzumaki blade. Naruto was much like Kenshin was in his younger years, a natural for the Hitenmitsurugi. Naruto would suck in all information that he was told and learn from his mistakes incredibly quickly. Kenshin had no doubt that if Naruto continued to learn at this pace, and with the power that the erasure already possessed, Naruto would one day be wearing the master's coat for kenjutsu. Once training was finished, both Naruto and Kenshin met with Genryosai to discuss the business that he wished to speak to them about. Thank you both for coming. I have news that need to be discussed between the three of us, said Genryosai in a no-nonsense-like tone. Yes, father, said Kenshin. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement. 4 days ago, there an incident involving a ship in one of our transport companies. Kenshin frowned. What kind of incident? He asked. As our ship was traveling towards its destination in the southern continent, it was intercepted by a military ship belonging to the Hidden Mist village. The Mist Ninja claimed that they were patrolling for smugglers and demanded to be allowed to search the ship. That's ridiculous. Whirlpool would never participate in such a dishonorable act, said Kenshin, something that our captain made sure to tell them. He also told them the fact that even though the ship was near the land of water, they were in international waters and Mist Village had no authority to search our vessel. So what happened? Asked Naruto, who was very interested in the outcome. Unfortunately, the incident escalated because either side would back down. The end result was an altercation between the Mist Ninja and our samurai. Our escorts cut down several Mist Ninja before they retreated back to their ship. Unfortunately, they answered with a full military strike against our ship. Our vessel was able to escape, but with severe damage. Nearly all the cargo of expensive silks, spices, herbs, and other things trading goods was lost. We also suffered several casualties to the ship's crew. I would never have believed that the fourth Mizukage would be foolish enough to start conflict with us after what happened to the first. He claims that it was not his intention to start a conflict, but he is not admitting blame for the altercation. Neither he nor the daimyo is willing to pay for the damages either. We are not going to just let this go, are we? They hurt some of our people. Naruto was furious. He was very protective of the people of Whirlpool. They had welcomed him with open arms and had shown nothing but love and respect to him. Anybody hurting his people would find Naruto's rage focused on them. No, we certainly cannot let this insult go unanswered. If we did, it would jeopardize the safety of all our ships if other nations thought they could get away with something like this, said Genryosai. Not to mention that we would lose many of our transportation contracts if companies didn't think our ships can get their goods to their destinations safely, said Kenshin. So what are we going to do about it? Asked Naruto. Genryosai smirked. The Water Daimyo and the Mizukage need reminding of why our clan is not to be trifled with. I have decided that both of you will go pay a visit to Water Country and be the ones to remind the Mizukage and Water Daimyo. Are you sure, father? Naruto is very young, and things might get complicated. I don't want him to be hurt if any unusual altercations come up, said Kenshin. Naruto could tell that there was something more to it. His uncle looked bothered. Naruto didn't know if he was ready to be part of a diplomatic envoy, but he would do his best if his grandfather asked it of him. Your concerns are noted. You have my permission to do whatever necessary to assure Naruto's safety. He needs to learn what is expected of him once he is the leader of our nation. I think this will be a perfect opportunity for him. As you wish, father, answered Kenshin. Then prepare to depart tomorrow morning. I have ordered a ship prepared. You will take a single samurai squad as an escort. They will be ordered to keep watch over Naruto at all times and to use deadly force if necessary to protect him. Kenshin and Naruto both nodded and left to get ready for their trip. Chapter 10. Naruto stood on board the Uzumaki clan's royal ship looking out at the endless ocean. Today they would arrive at the shores of Water Country. His uncle Kenshin and he were scheduled to visit both the Water Daimyo and the Mizukage. While this was supposed to be a diplomatic visit, Naruto couldn't help but feel uneasy for some unknown reason. His uncle had been acting unusual too, like he expected something to go wrong on this trip. He had been hovering over Naruto since his grandfather told them about it. He had been pushing relentlessly during training too. Naruto didn't know why. The sound of armor clanking and heavy footsteps on the wooden floor made Naruto turn around. He saw Captain Sagara making his way to him. Naruto-sama, we will be arriving to Water Country in less than an hour. Your uncle has requested your presence at his chamber to brief you on the plans for the trip. I will escort you there. I know where my uncle's cabin is, Captain. I'm sure you have more important things to do. Nothing is more important than your safety, my prince, answered the Captain Sagara. You expect me to be attacked on our own ship? One must always expect the unexpected, and exercise constant vigilance. Naruto sighed. Fine, let's go. As Naruto and the captain made their way through the large ship, Naruto turned to the captain and asked, Do you know why my uncle has been in such a bad mood lately? The captain looked uncomfortable with the question. I don't know what you are referring to, Naruto-sama. Kenshin-sama has not been in a bad mood lately. Yes, he has, and I have the bruises to prove it. He's not his usual grumpy self. He's been very aggressive in practice. That's not normal for him. Something about this trip has him acting weird. I believe he is just concerned with your safety. We are going to a foreign nation that has been a known enemy of Whirlpool for decades. Water Country is not a safe place to be. I hear the country is at a brink of civil war. Yes, I heard that too. My grandfather said that the daimyo has been ordering the executions of every bloodline-using clan in the country. How can he do that? Order the death of so many of his own people, and for something so stupid. And how could the rest of the country believe that all of their problems are the fault of ninja with bloodlines? It's an obvious lie. People are always looking for someone to blame. The daimyo and Mizukage gave them bloodline users to blame, and the people don't bother questioning. It's not right, but that's how people are, I guess, said Naruto as they made it to his uncle's room. Naruto bid the captain goodbye and entered the room. Kenshin was standing in front of a desk looking over several maps and scrolls when Naruto walked in the room. You're here. Good. I was going over the plans for our trip. Okay, so what's the plan? Once we arrive, we'll travel directly to the capital and meet with the daimyo. We will remind him why it is foolish to seek conflict with our clan. So, basically you're going to threaten him? Cool, Kenshin sighed. I'm not going to threaten him. Well, not directly anyway. Naruto chuckled. So what are we doing after that? Asked Naruto. Then will be the part that has potential to be hazardous. We will go to the Mist Village. Unlike the daimyo, the Mizukage will not be easily intimidated. We will have to make sure that he understands that he will regret it if he seeks conflict with Whirlpool. Would grandfather really go to war over this? It seems pretty extreme. The Mist should definitely pay, but war would cost many lives on both sides, said Naruto. Father doesn't need to go to war to crush the Mist Village. The Mist Village is by far the weakest of the 5 great ninja villages. While the caliber of their ninja is higher than, say, the Sand Village, the number of ninja they have is nowhere near that of the Leaf or Stone. The Cloud Village has both strength and numbers. The fact that Mist is on an island also limits their military's ability to threaten the villages in the mainland. It doesn't help that the number of ninja they produce each year is only a fraction of that of the other villages, said Naruto. Yes, that's true. But there is always the chance that the Mizukage will ignore all that and do something stupid to prove that his village is stronger than it is. It has happened before, like when the first Mizukage attacked Whirlpool. Yes, but I don't believe the Mizukage would be that foolish. He would try to attack our bases and businesses outside Whirlpool. He doesn't have the strength the first Mizukage had and would know he couldn't get past our defenses. Grandfather wouldn't let that happen. He would definitely retaliate, said Naruto. Yes, he would. The rest of the world seems to forget that father is an Uzumaki. One would think after what happened last time he was angered, that the world leaders would know better, said Kenshin. What do you mean last time? I haven't heard of it, said Naruto. I suppose that Urahara thought it was something a family member should tell you. I guess it is better that I tell instead of father. Cool. So what happened? Asked Naruto. It happened about 20 years ago. I was about your age actually. Your mother was staying at the Leaf Village, when the Raikage did something very stupid. What did he do? Asked an excited Naruto. He had your mother kidnapped. What? Yes, he was after the 9-tailed fox, as well as our bloodline. He believed that with control of the strongest Biju added to the Cloud Village, he would be strong enough to conquer the other nations. What happened? Your father, then only a genin, was able to save her from the kidnappers. The leaf informed my father of what happened, and he was most displeased. I bet he was so pie-mad, said Naruto. I have never seen father so angry in my life. He has always been calm and collected, very impressive for an Uzumaki. We're usually quicker to anger. But this time it was different. I saw a burning rage in his eyes that frightened me. His anger was pushed to the breaking point when the Cloud Village had the audacity to deny everything. They claimed that the ninja that kidnapped Kushina were Rouge ninja acting on their own. It was a lie, right? Yes, not that it mattered what the Raikage said. By that point the Yamanaka clan had retrieved all the information from the captured ninja. It didn't matter to father if he could prove it or not. What did he do? He declared war on the Cloud Village and the Land of Lightning. Wow, even with the leaf as an ally, it would have been a difficult campaign. The Land of Lightning is one of the largest in the continent, and they have a strong military, said Naruto. Actually, the Leaf Village was not involved in the conflict. Father told them it would not be necessary. What? But Whirlpool alone would not have the manpower to fight both the Lightning Daimyo's armies and the Raikage's ninja, argued Naruto. You forget, Naruto, that father was doing this to make a point to the world. That you don't mess with the Uzumaki clan, said Kenshin. So he had a plan then? He asked. Yes, a simple but effective plan. What was it? He marshaled all of Whirlpool's armed forces, leaving only the minimum here to defend the walls. He left one of the captains with me to defend the people should we be attacked, while he led nearly 5,000 samurai to the Land of Lightning. He would have been outnumbered almost 3-1. And that would be the Lightning Daimyo's samurai alone. It would be even more if you added the Cloud Village ninja to that. Father knew this very well. That is why he placed a call to every mercenary, sellsword, and missing ninja out there to come fight for him. He offered money and asylum to any that came to fight for him. And they came. They came by the hundreds, all seeking the riches and glory that war could bring them. Grandfather used the nation's endless wealth to strengthen his army, a smart move. Over 10,000 men and women joined Whirlpool's forces. While the vast majority were little more than cannon fodder, there were some that were of high caliber. Even with the increased number, it could not be an easy to take on both opponents. Easier than you might think, said Kenshin. How? Asked Naruto. Father and 20 of his strongest warriors sneaked into the palace of the Lightning Daimyo. Father himself killed the man. This forced his oldest son, who was leading the samurai legions, to rush back to defend their capital. Once father returned to the camp, he ordered 5,000 men to go and harass the samurai to make sure they didn't interfere with the attack on the Cloud Village. He then led the rest of the army, which was mostly made up of mercenaries, to attack the Raikage. Did the Raikage bunker himself in the village? Or did he meet grandfather on the field? Asked Naruto. The Raikage did not dare let Whirlpool's armies reach the village. He led the ninja of his village and met father on the battlefield. It was not much of a battle at first. On the first day father ordered a full frontal assault, but he only used the mercenary forces. They were slaughtered. This made the Raikage arrogant, and he sent some of his strongest ninja, including a Jinchuriki, to press his advantage. And grandfather sprung a trap? Yes, he was able to subdue the Jinchuriki of the Two Tails with the binding seal, and he and his captains led Whirlpool samurai against the Cloud Ninja. With our armor and our seals, our forces inflicted massive casualties to the Raikage's forces. After 2 days of bloody battle, the Raikage realized that he would not be able to stop Whirlpool's armies from reaching the Cloud Village. So in an act of desperation, he ordered his troops to retreat, while he alone acted as a rearguard to cover the retreat. The Raikage stayed behind by himself? Yes, he fought our mercenary forces with all he had and held them back for 3 days. 3 days? He held back an army of 10,000 for 3 days? How can that even be possible? He was a very powerful man, and he was desperately fighting to protect his home. One can become monstrously strong when fighting to protect those that are precious to us. He essentially sacrificed himself to protect his village from a conflict that his own greed and thirst for power created. In the end, it was father that ended his life. It was not an honorable battle as much as it was an execution. Father did this to show the world that the Uzumaki are to be feared, and that an attack on us will have severe consequences. What happened to the Cloud Village? Asked Naruto. They surrendered. Father threatened to burn it to the ground if they didn't. They still had the 8 tails, but they knew that it would only be a matter of time before the village fell. Father offered not only to spare the civilians, but the ninja as well. But they would have to sign a non-aggression treaty with Whirlpool. Father even returned the captured ninja that included the Two Tails Jinchuriki. Grandfather killed the Raikage and humiliated the Cloud Village. It was all to show the world the strength of Whirlpool. Yes, Naruto. It appears that the Land of Water has forgotten, and needs to be reminded of our strength. Now come, I will explain our plan and your part in it, said Kenshin. Several hours later, Naruto found himself riding a horse alongside his uncle and their samurai escort. They had landed at the closest port to the capital of Water Country. It didn't take them long to get there. Naruto had not been to many cities. The only place he could compare to this place was Adindral, and frankly it didn't come close. Adindral was a warm, inviting place, full of life, and the people were happy and lively. This place was the complete opposite. Firstly, it's cold. Naruto had never seen snow before, and it didn't take him long to determine that he preferred the white sand beaches and warm crystal-clear waters of Whirlpool over the ice-covered lakes that covered Water Country. It was not just the weather either. The city seemed to be filled with a feeling of sorrow and misery. Lively was the last word you would use to describe the people that existed in this dreary place. There were no homeless in Adindral. The Uzumaki clan made sure that all of its citizens had, at the very least, food and shelter. It didn't mean they would let the people live off the government, while doing nothing for themselves. But if a citizen needed some help to get back on their feet, the Uzumaki were glad to help their people. This place had homeless and beggars by the hundreds from what Naruto had been seeing since they entered the city. Many of them were women and children. That broke Naruto's heart. Naruto remembered all too well what it had been like for him when he was kicked out of the orphanage. He couldn't help but feel sadness for the people that had to live their lives like that. It was as he was scanning the streets that he noticed something that drew his attention. He slowed his horse to get a better look. Across the street from him, in one of the many alleys of the city, was a group of 3 men. They were dressed in worn clothes like many others. What drew Naruto's attention was that they seemed to have cornered one of the many homeless children, a girl about his own age if Naruto had to guess. What happened next made Naruto's eyes widen in shock. One of the men grabbed the girl from behind while another punched the little girl in the stomach, rendering her unconscious. One of the men then slung the unconscious girl over his shoulder, and Naruto watched in shock as they carried her away. Naruto looked around to see if anyone else had seen what he just saw. The people around him either didn't see anything, or worse, they saw it and just ignored it. Naruto was about to call for his uncle but stopped himself. He knew what his uncle would say. His uncle would say that this was not their country and as such, it was not their problem. Well, screw that. Naruto fell back until he was sure that nobody was paying him any attention. A quick water clone and replacement jutsu later, and he was running through the streets in the direction he saw the men take the girl. Haku felt like crying but no tears would come. It was hard to believe that only a week ago she had a happy life. She was from a small farming village not too far from the capital. Her family never had much and the work was hard, but she was happy. Her happiness ended when she walked into her home to find her mother lying in a puddle of her own blood, dead. That was not the end of Haku's nightmare. It worsened when her own father not only admitted to the murder, but then tried to kill Haku as well. Just as he was about to, Haku was able to call upon the hidden power her mother had warned her never to use. That power saved her life. It killed her father, impaling him on massive shards of ice. Haku ran away from her village. She traveled for a long time in the snow until she finally made it to the capital. Haku had been here for many days. Her clothes were torn, her skin was dirty, and she had been surviving on the scraps she was able to find in trash bins. She didn't think her life could get any worse. Apparently she was wrong. She had been confronted by 3 men that said they wanted to help her. Haku may be young, but she wasn't stupid. She knew these men were not out to help her, but before she could run away she was knocked out. When she woke she found herself in what looked like a warehouse. She was in a large cage, and she wasn't alone. There were 4 other girls around her age and older. Haku could see several other women in similar cages. Even for one as young as Haku, it didn't take her long to realize what kind of men had taken her. Slavers. Naruto had followed the men and saw them enter an old and worn-down warehouse. Using the stealth skills that Shigeru had almost literally beaten into him, Naruto was able to sneak up on the 2 guards and easily take them out. Once inside, Naruto stayed out of sight until he made it to the door that led to the warehouse's main storage area. Naruto could hear some men talking, so he listened carefully. "How many do we have ready to go out?" asked a man with an arrogant tone of voice. "With the one we just brought in, we have 9 children and 14 women," answered a gruff voice. "Great. They should bring us a good sum of money at the market. Get the cages ready for travel. We have to leave by tomorrow if we are going to make this ship to Earth Country." "Yes, sir. We are going to." "Bastards." Naruto had snuck into the room as he listened to the conversation. Once inside he saw something that made his blood boil. All around the room there were several large metal cages, like the ones that Naruto had seen used for animals on trading ships. Except these cages were not filled with animals, they were filled with young women and young girls that included the one Naruto had seen abducted. Most of the women had little clothing, some didn't have any. Naruto could only imagine what had been done to them. Rage like nothing Naruto had ever felt before flooded every fiber of his being as he screamed at them. Bastards! Naruto saw them turn around to look at him. It must have been a real surprise to see a small blonde boy dressed in an expensive kimono standing there with a look of hatred towards them. Who the hell is that kid? And what's he doing here? Asked the apparent leader. Naruto didn't answer. Erasure, his sword, began to glow once Naruto's hand gripped the handle. A light blue aura surrounds Naruto as his eyes began to glow. Naruto drew the legendary sword slowly, almost as if his body was moving of its own accord. Once the slavers saw the sword, they didn't take any chances. This kid could be a ninja for all they knew. The leader called for his men to come, and soon Naruto was staring at 8 men with his glowing eyes. I don't know who or what that kid is, but whoever kills the punk can keep that fancy sword as a reward, sneered the leader. Several of the thugs smirked, but before they could charge at Naruto, they were taken by surprise as several glowing chains sprang out of Naruto's back at an incredible speed and impaled most of them through the chest. The chains throw the thugs off with a contemptuous flick as the couple of slavers that weren't killed turn and run for their lives. The leader, who was still frozen in shock by what he just saw, finally reacts. You're one of those bloodline freaks, aren't you? He asked as he starts to step back in fear. The only answer he gets is that the chakra chains wrap around his arms and legs, immobilizing him. Knowing escape is impossible, the slaver drops to his knees and begs for mercy. Please don't kill me. Have some mercy, I beg you. When Naruto speaks, he doesn't sound like himself. Naruto speaks with a far-off voice, it as if someone or something is speaking through him. You have a wicked soul. You have preyed on the innocent and ruined many lives to satisfy your lust and greed. You are evil. To show mercy to the evil is to condemn the innocent to a life of suffering and death. Naruto then stood in front of the slaver and took a standard Badajutsu stance. No, plead the slaver's pleas were ended. In a motion faster than anybody could follow with their untrained eyes, Naruto was standing behind the man. Less than a second later, the slaver slumped forward, his severed head rolling across the floor. Several of the women were screaming and crying because of what was going on. But not Haku. Haku looked on in awe as a boy that looked no older than she was, showed power she had never dreamed of. The blonde boy walked towards the cage that held her while still holding the blood-covered sword. The eerie blue glow around him began to dissipate as he cut the metal chain that was keeping her cage closed. Before Haku can thank him, the glow disappears completely, and the boy falls to the ground. Haku rushes to him to make sure he's okay as the sound of footsteps fills the room. Haku watches as several men wearing armor and carrying drawn swords enter the room. A scary-looking man with long red hair spots Haku and the blonde boy with her. Before Haku can blink, the man is kneeling in front of her checking on the boy. Thank Kami, Haku hears the scary man whisper. One of the armed men makes his way towards them. Is Naruto-sama injured? The soldier asks in a worried tone. The red-headed scary man stands and answers him. No, Naruto is unconscious but uninjured. It appears that he stumbled into a slave ring operation. Yes, but we have no authority over the city. I know, but that doesn't mean we are leaving these women in cages. Have your men get them out. If they have homes or families, then we will arrange for them to be escorted to wherever they live. If they have nowhere to go, then they can come to Whirlpool with us. We will take them to our ship so they can be treated for injuries. Is that wise? It can. I know what problems that can bring, Captain Sagara. But if I don't help them, I will be hearing it from Naruto the rest of the trip. I would prefer to deal with whatever grievances the daimyo can come up with than listen to Naruto complain for days about how heartless I am. The captain smiled. He is a wonder of wonders, isn't he? A rare moment. Kenshin smiled too. Yes, he is. The next couple of hours flew by for Haku. The men, who she now knew were samurai from Whirlpool country, asked her if she had a home to get back to. She had told them no. The men had found food and warm clothes for all of them. They had led them to a hotel and acquired rooms for them. Haku heard from some of the women that anyone who wanted would be allowed to go to Whirlpool country when the samurai returned home. It didn't surprise Haku that nearly all of the women and girls had agreed to go. Haku made her way to the room that held the blonde boy that had saved her. Haku had been told that the boy was actually the prince of Whirlpool country and heir of the Uzumaki clan, Naruto Uzumaki. She had no idea why a prince would risk his life to save her and the other women, but she wanted to thank him. As Haku was near the door that was guarded by 2 samurai, she could hear 2 voices arguing inside the room. Well, I did what I thought was right. You know, you would have told me wasn't our concern, and you know it. You can't just start attacking people of another country, Naruto. And I told you that I don't remember attacking anyone. All of the women saw you, and they said some of the slavers that escaped also saw you. I don't remember honestly, said Naruto more subdued. I believe you, Naruto, but from now on please don't do anything rash. And stay close to me no matter what. Okay. Yes, uncle, answered Naruto. Both Naruto and Kenshin turned to the door when it opened. Naruto recognized the girl that entered. It was the girl he had seen taken. She was now wearing a pink kimono and Naruto was impressed. She was very pretty, though he still felt that Hinata was prettier. Hello, I'm Naruto, said Naruto. Hello, Naruto-sama. My name is Haku. I came to thank you for saving me from those men. You're welcome, Haku-chan. But you don't have to call me Sama. I don't really care about that stuff. Haku was confused. But you're a prince, Kenshin reminded the children he was still in the room. My nephew tends to forget his station all too often. Something I have to keep reminding him about. Father told you to get used to it, Naruto, because it's not going to go away. Naruto just crossed his arms and huffed in annoyance, which made Haku giggle. That brought a smile to Naruto's face. Kenshin left the children to talk with each other while he made plans to have the women escorted to the ship. Kenshin thought it was about time Naruto spent time with someone his own age. The next morning the women were escorted to the ship, all of them except Haku, who refused to leave Naruto's side. Kenshin relented before Naruto started going on about how it was his responsibility to make sure Haku-chan was okay. Frankly, it wasn't worth the hassle. Kenshin could just say that Haku was a servant or vassal if anyone asked any questions about her. Once they had purchased a formal kimono for Haku, they made their way to the daimyo's palace. Naruto wasn't impressed. Compared to the people's palace, this place was a dump. The delegation from Whirlpool was greeted by several high-ranking officials. Naruto's party was told that the daimyo was ready to meet them whenever they were ready. Since they were already a day behind because of the slaver incident, Kenshin wanted to meet the daimyo immediately. Naruto, Haku, Kenshin and Captain Sagara were led to the throne room. Kenshin noticed a considerable number of samurai and mist ninja guards. He was not worried much because none of them would be much of a threat to him, and with Captain Sagara here, Kenshin wouldn't have to worry much about Naruto's safety since he trusted Sasuke to protect Naruto and Haku with his life. Kenshin had wanted to leave Haku with the other samurai because he was only allowed to bring 2 guards or servants to the meeting, but Naruto gave him a look that he had seen on his elder sister many times. Kenshin never won an argument with his sister once she got that stubborn look on her face. When the group entered the throne room, Naruto got his first look at the water country's daimyo. He was sitting on his throne with 2 samurai on each side of him. The daimyo was a man in his 40s with long black hair. He was wearing a white and blue royal kimono, and Naruto could see the man was very nervous. The daimyo's eyes were fixed on Naruto's uncle. He was afraid. Naruto had noticed how people would look at his uncle Kenshin. It was eerily similar to how the people in the Leaf Village would look at him, like he was a monster. Greetings, Prince Kenshin. It is an honor to have one of the Rokukyoshu in my home. How was your trip? I was expecting your arrival yesterday, said the daimyo. He did so with a slightly nervous tone of voice. I apologize for our late arrival, but there was an incident that delayed us. My father is in good health and as strong as ever, said Kenshin, making sure stay polite. May I introduce my nephew, Naruto Uzumaki, Crown Prince of Whirlpool and future daimyo of Whirlpool, he said, motioning to Naruto, who gave a small bow. Ah, yes. I heard that the lost son of the princess and the 4th Hokage was found. You look like your father. It is a pleasure to meet you, young one. Thank you, the pleasure is mine, answered Naruto. I don't mean to be rude, Daimyo Dano, but I believe we should speak about why we are here, said Kenshin. Yes, of course, the daimyo answered nervously. A vessel of Whirlpool was attacked by ninja belonging to your nation. Any other country would clearly see this as an act of war. War? Surely you exaggerate. It was a minor misunderstanding. A ship was damaged and its cargo was lost, and several citizens of Whirlpool were killed. This is no minor misunderstanding, answered Kenshin in a forceful tone. You have to understand, my country is on the brink of civil war. The Mizuki assured me it would not happen again. And after all, your samurai killed many mist ninja too. My samurai defended their ship from an invading force that had no authority in international waters. A misunderstanding, true. But what you ask in return is unacceptable. We don't believe that paying for the ship and goods lost as well as surrendering the ones responsible so they can stand trial for the murder of our people unacceptable. You're asking for 10 million ryo. Even if I was willing to pay so much money, the Mizukage would not willingly surrender his ninja to stand trial for what he believes was justified. The rebels have been smuggling weapons and supplies. Those bloodline freaks are preparing to start a war, I'm sure of it. However, to show your father that I mean no ill will to Whirlpool, I am willing to pay 2 million ryo as an apology for this unfortunate incident. Kenshin narrowed his eyes. You do realize that the Uzumaki clan is a bloodline-wielding clan? Oh why yes. How silly of me. Yes, I remember. You possess the bloodline called Celestial Chains. A unique way of manipulating chakra that gives your clan several abilities. The daimyo said in a guarded tone. He didn't want to insult Kenshin, but it was clear he felt all people with bloodline abilities were scum. And don't forget the infamous Uzumaki temper. I can guarantee that your apology would be considered an insult to my father. And I'm sure you can remember what happened to the last daimyo that insulted my father, said Kenshin in a tone that left no doubt about what he meant. The daimyo visibly gulped. Why you wouldn't dare, he said. Funny you should say that. It was exactly what the lightning daimyo said before my father killed him, said Kenshin. That put all of the guards in the room on guard. They all readied their weapons but didn't draw them. Of course you are much smarter than him. You know that we will destroy you and your country if we go to war. You're not very popular with your own people, and the rebels of this country would join us by the thousands and you know it. The daimyo gritted his teeth. Fine, what you want? He spat. You will pay the full 20 million ryo, and will not interfere with our actions against the Mist Village. If we go to war, it will be only with the Mizukage. You and your civilians will be left alone, said Kenshin. The daimyo glared at Kenshin. He knew that there was nothing he could do. If a full-scale war with Whirlpool happened, he knew the rebels would use it to kill him and his family. He hated to be manipulated like this but had no choice but to agree. He would much rather pay an obscene amount of money than lose his country. The Mizukage was responsible for angering the Uzumaki, so he could go to hell for all the daimyo cared. Fine, I will have the money transferred to one of your accounts by tomorrow. Then I thank you for your hospitality. My men and I will leave immediately and head for the Mist Village to speak with the Mizukage. If all works out, this can be resolved without the need for bloodshed, said Kenshin. Fine, you're welcome to leave if you wish, said the daimyo. He was in no mood to keep the Uzumaki here any longer than needed. The sooner they left the better. Within the hour the Uzumaki left the capital and headed for the Mist Village and their meeting with the Mizukage. A meeting that would prove to be one that nobody would soon forget. Hidden Mist Village. So, the daimyo has chosen to save his own skin. It's unfortunate, but not completely unexpected. What are your orders, Lord Mizukage? Asked a masked ANBU. The Uzumaki think we can be threatened and dictated to. Well, it's time that our village pays the Uzumaki back for the humiliation we suffered in the past. They will be here by tomorrow evening, so let us prepare a proper welcome for them, said the fourth Mizukage. Yes, Lord Mizukage, said the ANBU as he disappeared in a swirl of water. The next day Naruto and the rest of the party from Whirlpool were making their way to the Mist Village when a lone figure appeared in the road in front of them. Naruto, who had been riding next to Haku, was immediately flanked by Captain Sagara and other samurai. Kenshin, who didn't look very concerned, dismounted his horse and walked forward to meet the person. The person was a woman wearing an ANBU-style mask and armor but didn't have a Mist Village headband or any sings or insignia associating her with the Mist Village. The masked woman had long ankle-length auburn-colored hair. Who are you, and what do you want? Asked Kenshin in a no-nonsense tone of voice. I am one of the many that has had enough of the daimyos and the Mizukage's bigotry. I am member of the resistance against the unjustified genocide of every bloodline-bearing clan in the nation. So you're one of the rebels the daimyo is too terrified of. What do you want? Asked Kenshin. To warn you that the Mizukage intends to kill you once you reach the Mist Village. He has an ambush already in place. Kenshin's grip on his sword tightened in anger. Is Yugura truly that stupid? He is no match for me. Even if he somehow managed to kill me, what does he think my father would do to this country if he killed my nephew? The Uzumaki daimyo would lay waste to all of Water Country. That is why I have come to warn you. I hope you can prepare for it or turn back if possible. Those who are against the oppression in our country are almost ready to fight back. We will end the senseless slaughter of innocents, or we will die trying. We will not turn back. An Uzumaki never runs away, we never back down. If the Mizukage thinks he can threaten my family, then he will learn his mistake at the end of my blade, said Kenshin. The Mizukage has not been himself. He has been acting strange, has grown more ruthless and bloodthirsty than ever before. I am not sure, but some of us believe it's because of an outside source. That's irrelevant. He is either an enemy or a pawn being used by one. Either way, he needs to be dealt with. I thank you for the warning. If and when you are ready to take back your country, know that the Uzumaki and Whirlpool country will help you in any way we can, said Kenshin. Thank you? We will soon be ready to begin an open rebellion, she said as she removed her mask. My name is Mei Tarimi, and we would welcome any help we can get, she said. Then don't be afraid to ask. Now I have to say farewell. I have an appointment with the Mizukage. Kenshin returned to the group and informed his men of what the Mizukage was planning. The members of the Guardian Corps were ready for battle even though they would be heavily outnumbered and in enemy territory. With Kenshin leading them, they were ready and willing to face anything. In a remote village near the hidden mist, a young boy with white hair sat in a cell. He heard the sound of footsteps and looked up to see his clan leader. Kimimaro, the clan has need of your skill. We attack the village hidden in the mist. Come. Kimimaro stood without questioning. Killing was his only purpose. As the Whirlpool samurai were nearing the mist village, they were prepared to fight if it was needed. What Kenshin had not expected when they arrived was to see the mist village already under attack by an unknown enemy. Kenshin knew this was an opportunity, and he chose to act on it. He left Naruto and Haku with Captain Sagara and his men while he infiltrated the village alone. Naruto didn't know what was going on, but he and Haku could see the mist village was under attack. There were sounds of battle and fires everywhere. He almost missed seeing it as a boy with white hair jumped from one of the village walls and ran into the woods. Naruto didn't know why, but before he knew what he was doing, he was running after him. Naruto-sama, come back here! Naruto heard several samurai yell at him as he continued to run after the boy. Naruto ran as fast as he could but had lost sight of the white-haired boy. Naruto was looking around when he felt danger. Out of reflex, he drew Erasure just in time to deflect a strike from a white knife that looked to be made of some type of bone. What the hell? Yelled Naruto as he saw the boy he had been chasing drop down from a tree. He had another bone knife and was ready to attack when Naruto yelled at him. Wait! I'm not here to hurt you. The boy, who looked tired and injured, hesitated but didn't stop his attack. He moved with impressive speed and Naruto was barely able to block his strikes. But it was obvious that this boy was far more experienced in battle. Naruto was being overwhelmed. This boy, who only looked a couple years older than him, fought with a fierce intensity Naruto was not accustomed to. Naruto had to focus so intently on his defense that he couldn't focus on his surroundings. Naruto lost his footing on a root and tripped to the ground. The white-haired boy was about to capitalize on Naruto's mistake when a wall of ice suddenly materialized in front of Naruto, blocking the boy's attack. Both boys turned around to see a furious-looking Haku. You will not hurt Naruto-sama, she growled at him. The boy prepared to attack Haku, but Naruto was already up. Stop! We are not here to hurt you. We just want to know what's going on, said Naruto. As this happened, several of the Whirlpool samurai arrived. Kimimaro knew that he could not win a fight against all of them. He was almost out of chakra. He accepted that he would die and readied himself. My name is Kimimaro Kagaya. My clan attacked the Mist Village for some reason. I was not told why, only that I had to fight. We caught them by surprise and caused lots of damage to their ninja because their strongest didn't show until we were deep into the village. When I saw the last of my clan die, I decided to escape. When I felt you were following me, I attacked because it thought you were Miss Ninja. We are not Miss Ninja. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, this is Haku-chan. And they, Naruto motions, are samurai from my country, the land of Whirlpool. We were told that the Mizukage planned to attack us once we got here, so your clan saved us. What do you plan to do, Kimimaro? Asked Naruto. Kimimaro looked confused. I don't know. My only reason for living was to kill for my clan. Now my clan is gone. I have no purpose, he said. It was Haku that answered him. I was similar to you, Kimimaro. Only days ago I felt that I had no reason to live. But then Naruto-sama saved me. I believe my purpose now is to serve and protect him. You can too, you are strong and can help protect him. Naruto-sama is a kind person that cares for others. There is no better purpose in life than to protect someone like Naruto-sama. Kimimaro stared at Haku, who smiled at him. He then looked at Naruto intently as if trying to see if what Haku said was true or not. Kimimaro looked into Naruto's eyes and saw they were nothing like the eyes of his clan members. He was intrigued by the passion that the girl named Haku seemed to have for this blonde-haired boy. He wondered if he would be able to feel the same about him. Very well, I will serve you if you'll have me, said Kimimaro. Naruto was very confused. A few minutes ago Kimimaro was trying to kill him, and now he says he will serve him? His uncle was not going to be happy about this. Sure, no problem. You can come with us to Whirlpool, but my grandfather will have to decide if it's okay, said Naruto. Kimimaro nodded and Haku smiled. Captain Sagara just knew he was going to get yelled at for this. But seeing Naruto and Haku smiling at a confused-looking Kimimaro almost made it worth it. In the mist village, Yugura looked at his village in frustration. They had been taken by surprise by the damned Kagaya. The savages had killed many of his ninja and set fire to many buildings. It would take obscene amounts of time and money to recover from this. Yugura was so focused on the village that he hadn't noticed a presence nearby until it was too late. Out of the shadows, several glowing white chains wrapped around him. The chains completely immobilized him and suppressed his chakra. He couldn't even draw on the 3 tails that was inside of him. You planned this? No, but I admit it was a better situation than I had planned, said Kenshin as he stepped out of the shadows. So you think you can assassinate me? How will that look to the other nations? It will bring war to your precious country. Maybe, but if it happens, I will defend my home with every fiber of my being. Kenshin drew his sword, and with an economical flick of his wrist, severed Yugura's head. And at least you will not threaten my home again. Kenshin then disappeared into the shadows. He didn't notice that a man with an orange mask and a single Sharingan had witnessed the entire event. Kenshin rejoined his men and was mildly surprised that a white-haired boy was now riding on Haku's horse while Haku was riding with Naruto. He looked at Naruto, and Naruto only gave him an embarrassed smile while scratching the back of his head. Kenshin just shook his head. I don't even want to know about it right now. Let's go. It's time to go home, he said. And the Uzumaki made their way back to the ship. It would be interesting to see what life was like with the new additions to Naruto Uzumaki's retinue.